Here is your podcast.
You know, I've been doing this show 9 years. In the beginning, it was great. I got to show up and just talk and leave. That was fantastic. But now Mex sends me this theme song, tells me to put my own voice in it. Lily shows up. She doesn't produce a goddamn thing. All she does is laugh, turn around, and go home. The only thing I don't wind up doing for this show is listen to it. That's your fucking job. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. This is the 5th attempt at this show, probably. Got to be the 5th. We actually erased an 8-minute chunk at one point. Because I caught in a loop and I started to look something up on the internet while I was talking, and I fucking hate that. I don't have the luxury of having a research person. I got a producer with a legal pad, and that's about it. That's all I got. She's great, and I should probably hire an intern. Hey, who wants to intern for me? That'd be perfect. What you need to have is a space where you can record that has a desk, and that's it. So I need to be my intern. Let's talk about that for just a second, folks, because as I talk, I don't know if I'm going to be leaning or how far I'll be leaning. There's a good chance that if you listen to last week's show, we were talking a little bit about an art desk and me sitting at this childish desk and in this house that I don't want to be in, and whatever. Go listen to last week's show. Last week's show is stellar. It's just all it does is tell you about where I'm at and why I don't want to be there. Actually, I apologize. That would be year 1 through 9 of this show, where I'm at and why I don't want to be there and why I should be somewhere else. That's exactly the theme that you will always, that's a prevailing theme of the 40-year-old boy podcast. So last week, I had the desk and I was hitting it
a lot.
And I showed up today and I set up the desk to talk here. That's our friend Lily, by the way. She's a producer and I'm at her house. And the desk, I have to elevate it so it sits up and I can get to the microphone. And as I was sitting here, the table just started to sink. And it's just like slowly, like a deflating airbed, which I've seen at my house, or a deflating tire, which I've had happen. And you watch it just lose its momentum. Well, or a failing erection. I've had those on occasion. So I'm watching this fucking table, and it is literally sinking. I'm going, all right. So I boosted it up and I tightened it as tight as I could, and then it started to sink again. And I go, this is sinking. And then I boosted it again and I tightened it as tight as I could. And then Lily goes, how tight are you making that? I go, I'm tightening it as much as I can. She goes, that's what breaks it? You just stripped the gear of the fucking table. And I'm like, I was just trying to boost it. I wasn't trying to, she goes, you cannot tighten it as tight as you can. It's like turning a faucet all the way off as hard as you can will start to cause a drip eventually. And I said, are you sure me punching it last week didn't fucking break it? Possibly, because that could have done something. And she just rolled her fucking eyes and went, great, why don't you come and break more shit at my fucking house? So the point is, I'm at the art desk. I wish we had the picture we took last week, because I erased last week's picture. I didn't like the way I looked at the art desk. And now, because this one is that much lower, it's down, probably 2 feet?
It's almost level with the seat of the chair.
So I have to have a box. I have to have a booster seat. My microphone needs a booster seat. Because then part of me is like, well, maybe I'll just hold the microphone and I'll whip it around and I'll talk. But that'll be all fumbling. This is a sensitive microphone and I can't fucking grab it. Are you going to take another photo?
Maybe.
All right, video, whatever the fuck you're going to do. So yeah, I need a booster seat now for my microphone, which I have also, by the way, lifted as high as it will go and tightened it up. You know what? God, I just look awful in all the photos that you take. It's ridiculous.
I agree with that.
Well, I don't even see me, honestly. I just see a bunch of mirrors and a bunch of stuff. All right, so the thing is, I need to stop being distracted by you doing your job of social media stuff during the goddamn show. I should just fucking talk. But the thing is, you're the person I'm talking to, so when you go off like an ADD person, you start taking fucking photos.
I'm not an ADD person. I'm doing my job. I'm multitasking. That's what I'm supposed to
Perhaps
do.
I'm the ADD person who cannot concentrate on the task at hand while watching a butterfly fly by taking photos.
I think you misspelled that. IDIOT. ADD.
Did you try to spell idiot? Came close. I think you lost an I in the middle there.
I said IDIOT.
Oh, I thought you said IDOT. No. Oh, because I'm not the IDOT. I'm not the Illinois.
Wait, you are the IDOT.
I'm not the Illinois Department of Transportation. How dare you? God, we used to know a comic who worked in a toll booth. There was a comedian. Everybody made fun of him in Chicago because he worked in a toll booth. But I mean, he made good money. It was a solid union job, state job. You made money. You got your benefits and all that shit. But I mean, you're going to die of cancer in 7 months from inhaling fumes in the fucking thing. Because, dude, in the winter, it's all splashy splash and fumey fume and coughy cough, and you're dead. That's what happens. You do. You're hiding in there trying, because people, and every dick bags like me come through and go, can I get a receipt, please? And then you got to lean out into the cold and get just that much pneumonia before you go home. Fuck. You want to sit in that little fucking, your little clubhouse there with your fucking space heater and probably a little TV, a little square TV. You're watching that. You got your thermos filled with hot liquid. What a mess. I talked about that on a previous show. All right. So, hi, I just, does anybody else out there want to run through a fucking brick wall? Anybody else besides me? Anybody else out there who's just constantly vibrating and wants to go ahead and put their fist through a fucking pane of glass, or maybe 2 panes of glass, or possibly 3 panes of glass? Anybody? Anyone else out there feel like going ahead and taking all their high school yearbooks and fucking burning them to ashes? You want to do that, possibly? For any specific reason? You fucks? Not you, me. Fuck. Hi.
Therapy's working.
It is. Yeah, well, once I start talking about me, it'll go great. That'll work out fine.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna choke him.
Shut up. Once I have a therapy session where I actually sit down and try to fix me, that'd be fucking perfect.
The therapist says, but it's you.
She's trying. She'll be like, all right, I understand that. Now, how can we talk about getting you on the right path to doing the thing? But you don't understand. No, I do understand. And I've understood for 3 years when you've come in here and talked about this. Let's talk about something else that has to do with you. How about that? Well, this has to do with me, sort of, in a roundabout way. But the thing is, if only I could go ahead and fix this, then I could fix me. No, that's not the way it fucking works. Literally, Shannon's like swearing at me at that point. No, fuck you. That's not the way it fucking works.
Shannon and I have lunch sometimes and talk about you.
You fucking should. So, I've been telling you guys, I've alluded to things, and I've said I've been just sitting and staring and not doing anything with my life, and Frozen and Amber and all these other fucking cute ways I put it. But the point is, I didn't want to fucking do anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to move. And it's been 3 months. It's been since January. And why, you ask? Well, you ask a lot of fucking questions, by the way. Let's talk about that. You fucking people with all your queries and your poking and your prodding. A lot of people out there have asked me questions. You've written me or you've seen me in person, actually, and you said, hey, what's the story with Jill? What's going on with Jill, man? How's Jill? Are you okay with Jill? Like, what's happening with Jill? And I've avoided answering your questions. I think it was last week we were doing the show, or 2 weeks ago, and Lily in the middle of it just went, why don't you do the show about Jill?
The show about Jill.
And I was very nice to ignore that, because I considered it an affront, and an attack, and I didn't quite care for that, honestly. Because I don't know what to do. I don't. It's not even a fucking joke. For 3 months, I've sat in my apartment, in my house, not knowing what to do or what to say or how to act or how to. I just didn't know. Because it's complicated. And, once I talk to people, they go, that's not that fucking complicated. I'm like, nah, it kind of is. It's complicated. You don't understand. And then I bore them for 90 minutes. And then they jump off of a cliff. This is why I'm losing friends. Not because they don't want to talk to me anymore, but because they're fucking jumping off of their fucking cliffs. I got back together with Jill in November of last year. And that was me reaching out. Because I had walked away for a couple of months. And I told you, here's another thing. I don't know what I've talked about. Because I've kind of steadfastly avoided this topic and I've not gotten into it because I've been trying not to hurt Jill through this show for a very long time. Because I hurt her very badly through this show a long time ago. When our relationship first started, look, I'll fucking spell it for you. I met her and we hit it off and we were friends, but I loved her from the moment I saw her. That's not a lie. It's completely true. And I wanted her. And then we were texting and talking, and I was still married and she was married, and it was not a good situation, especially for a guy who had decided he was married and was going to just stay married forever, and was turning a blind eye to the fact that was fucking falling apart rapidly. But then I found somebody who was unbelievably beautiful and dug me, and I dug her unbelievably so, and I wanted her, and I wanted nothing but her. But at the same time, I was still me. So I was still married. She was married. We were texting back and forth. We were talking. Everything was good. And then my wife left. And I was fucking devastated. I was wiped the fuck out. And I didn't know what to do. And you can actually find that show on YouTube if you want to go ahead and check. It's you want to hear that terrible chapter of my life? It's available right now on YouTube. Because who the fuck am I? So that happened, and we shared it, and I was torn apart, and I was crushed, and I was devastated. But at the same time, I was optimistic. Some part of me was looking forward to my life ahead of that, because I had an opportunity then, I felt, with Jill. She was still married, but that wasn't going well. And, every night I was like, yeah, cool. I hope it doesn't go well, please. And in the meantime, I started to work on me. I worked on me to get into shape. I worked on me to save myself. I worked on me to save my life. I worked on me because I had been in a rut for a very long time and had stopped caring about myself. And look, fuck that. I don't care about myself now. I mean, that's truthful. I haven't cared about myself for a really long fucking time. I'll have bouts of confidence, and I'll have these moments where I think to myself, you know what, yeah, this is awesome. I'm great. And then, of course, there's the moments where I'm fucking down and I don't believe that anybody likes me or wants me or anything like that. And it's funny, a listener to the show, Drew, wrote me, and he's been a fucking champion of mine. So he went to the Boston show, and he and I went to dinner. And he fucking ate all the fucking avocado and the salad, that motherfucker. And then I talked about it on stage. And to this day, he's like, it's the funniest thing ever. So, cause he actually won the Kickstarter dinner with Mike in Boston. He actually paid for that. So I bought him dinner at this fucking awesome Italian joint. And he's just a good friend. I mean, he's maintained contact with me. He'll periodically text me, but he mainly through social media. But then he was out here last year, and I went and saw him, and we hung out, and I think even he asked about Jill at that point, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I had no fucking answers for anybody. Because I'll tell you this, I walked away from Jill last September, like I said, for 2 months, and even in that 2 months, people would say to me, "What's up with Jill?" And I go, I don't know. Well, I mean, I was the one who walked away. I just didn't want to say the words that we're broken up. Do you know why? Because I've never broken up with anybody in my life. That's the truth. I've never looked at anybody and said, "Hey, this isn't working. We need to move on." My wife ghosted me, and everybody else I dated before Karen, everybody I dated was either married or long distance. I dated this girl, Stephanie, and she was long distance. I'd see her, when I went to do comedy in her town, and then she'd come up by me sometimes and we'd hang out. But then I just wound up leaving. Like I wound up moving to fucking Chicago. There was no breakup. I just fucking bailed because I had no money and everything had fucking gone to hell. The girl, and then the married chick I was banging was setting my stuff on fire. So maybe that'll tell you where my relationship was with Steph. Yeah, the married girl. Yeah, go ahead, and that's on YouTube too. Go ahead and find that. But that'll tell you the relationship I had with Stephanie. The married woman I was living with and banging at the time burned all of my stuff. Oh no, that was actually when I came back. Holy fuck! But I was living with a chick that was married that I was banging while I was still like dating Steph, and it was fucked. Look, so the point is, I've never had a real relationship other than Karen. That was it. So I've never had to break up with anybody because Karen just got in her bad motor scooter and rode. So get the fuck out of there. I wonder if she's lonely on her daddy's farm. I'll just remember, I don't live too far. All right, so I don't know how to break up with somebody. And also, I don't want to break up with anybody. I don't want to go to them and say, because if you do that, it's over. And that's a decision you're making, and you have to take responsibility for your life and walk the fuck away from it. That's fucking scary, dudes. So Drew, who's my friend, who's reached out with me, asked me about Jill last year, whatever. He finally just wrote me on Instagram this week. And the tone of it was very hands in the air. Like what am I going to do with you? And it was very much, hey man, just fucking go do it already. Go be famous. Go tell stories. Go be funny. Go do the things you know what to do. Fuck. And I wrote him back and I wrote, so you finally hate me. Only took 9 years. Hope things are all well by you. And he wrote me back like, and you could literally hear him just like kicking rocks. He's like, fuck man, no, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad because you have all the talent in the fucking world and you should be crushing it everywhere. And I don't understand why you don't. And you should, you're great. Go out there and fucking do it. And so he was fed up of the tones of probably the last fucking 3 months of shows. not knowing that I've had my dick knocked in the dirt by a fucking woman for, I want to say 3 months, but that's a lie. But also by me, by the choices I've made. So people would ask me and they'd be like, well, what's up with Jill? What's up with Jill? And I would never say, well, we broke up. I would say, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. Even my friends, if I would talk to my friend about it, I'd be like, yeah, this happened. And it's a thing that, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work because it always seems to be the same thing happening over and over. But please don't hold this against me when you see my photo with her on Facebook next week. Because in my heart, I was always going back. In my head, I was never going back. In my head, I'm like, no, you've got to do something. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to look out for you here. But there was a moment in therapy, I think I've mentioned it on here. So again, I may repeat myself here and I apologize because I don't know what I've talked about because I've hidden a lot. But in therapy, like Shannon one time I was telling her, I was like, Jill, and we were talking about Jill and this thing with Jill and how I felt about Jill. And she goes, well, what about Mike? And I said, fuck Mike. And she flinched. She was just like, seriously? And I go, yeah, who gives a fuck? Like, nobody cares what I think or say. It's more about this and figuring this out. And she's like, all right. And I mean, this is after 2.5 years of therapy, 3 years. And she's just like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. No, that's after fucking 3.5 years of therapy. And she's like, fuck, 4 years. Oh my God, I've been seeing her since I was 9. So she's like, no, you need to figure out what's up for Mike, what's best for Mike. And I was obsessed with other things. Look, I won't lie. I was obsessed with Jill. I was obsessed with making that work, making us work, being with her, holding her hand forever. I wanted to pick her up and put her in my mouth and keep her and like almost like a fucking weird jungle animal. Like I don't know how to explain the attraction. I don't know how to explain the pheromones. All I know is the combined allure of a beautiful woman who is in love with you not feeling you're worth being loved so much is devastating. And it will make you do things you didn't think you were going to do. And then you would wind up in fights or you would wind up in arguments. And my instinct is to save her and protect her. And, that started from the beginning. I wanted to save her from her ex-husband because he was a fucking monster. She would tell me stories about him and he was a terrible guy and all these things he did. And I wanted to save her from that and keep her for myself and make sure that she was safe always with me. And then I wanted to save her from every fucking man she ever met who sent her a text that wanted to fucking hang out with her or sleep with her or tell her she was beautiful. And that made me fucking weird. And so I wanted to save her from that and also save me from that. I wanted to keep her safe, period. And that's why I tell you the times when we were on a couch where she was asleep and had her legs across my lap with a fucking very important date to the two of us tattooed on her ankle. And I got to look at that while she slept. And I've never been more happy or content in my life than when Jill was asleep and breathing on top of me. I loved it. I loved it because I wanted to keep her safe. And I knew if she was there under me, under a blanket and on top of me, she was safe. So that's why I never wanted to break up, because breaking up acknowledged that I could not save us. I could not save her, and I definitely couldn't save me. It hurt. It fucking killed me. So I will tell you this again. Karen left, and I knew I had Jill. I hoped I had Jill, I should say. I mean, it seemed apparent that I did, but I wasn't sure. But she was still with her ex-husband, and so we had a texting relationship. But I was in love with Jill, and she knew it. And I told her so. I flat out told her. And then I would make every chance that I could to see her. I would escape to try to get to her. And then one time I went to her fucking hometown where she lives. Now it might have 3,000 people in it. And I showed up and I stayed in a hotel there and hung out with her all weekend. Like I went to her house and went to a picnic with her friends and her husband. And she's like, yeah, it's just my friend Mike from the internet, and I hung out with these people and got along with them great. But I was there because I was sneaking a visit to see the woman I loved. And so I'd go to the fucking hotel and at night, and she'd come back with me, but then she'd have to go home. And we weren't fooling anybody, is my point. But I wanted her, but I didn't fully have her. I didn't have her. And like I said, I started to take care of myself. And I wanted, but this is the truth. I didn't take care of myself for me. I took care of myself for Jill. She made me want to be better. She made me want to be the best I could be for her and me. I'm jumping ahead here, but I'll tell you this. The first time we ever slept together, the first time we ever consummated our relationship, we were laying there, and it was, I can't even express to you how fucking unbelievable a memory it is. In that moment, the whole moment when she finally gave herself over to me, whatever, I could wax rhapsodic about it for about 5 weeks. I could talk about it till the last breath came out of my body. Because when it was good, it was poetry. And I fucking hate poetry. But there's no other word to describe it, man. It was a fucking sonnet. It was a song. It was every bullshit thing Shakespeare ever told you love was. That's Jill naked. So she was, I got up because I had, we were post-coital or whatever the fuck. And we're in a chair at my house. All right, I didn't even have a bed. We wanted each other so badly. We waited so long. We went at it in the chair at my house. And I'll never forget it. It was just when it finally, because I had spent a long time chasing Jill without getting to do certain things. And then she was like, yeah, no, we're doing it. And it was everything I wanted it to be. And I think it was everything she wanted it to be. It seemed to be. So I stood up and I went to go in the other room, and I grabbed my boxer briefs. And she goes, no. She goes, don't. I go, what? And she goes, no, stay naked. I want you naked. I go, no, I gotta put these on. And she's like, no. And I go, no, it's all right. And I go to put them on. She goes, no, honey, stay naked. And I was like, no, I can't, because I don't like the way I look naked. I look fat. I didn't feel that I should be naked ever. I didn't feel that I was attractive. I didn't feel any of those things. And I actually yelled at her because the fear inside me of looking weak or bad in front of her made me so on edge. And I just went, no, I have to. And she flinched. And then she's just like, but I like you. You're so sexy. I like you naked. And I'm not saying that was the moment that turned it, but that was a moment that stuck with me forever, because then I started to go with her to the beach and I wanted to have my shirt off. I wanted to go out. She made me confident. She made me, and I wanted all of those things for her. Every time I went to the fucking gym, I did it for her. Every time I went, and that's not healthy. I should be doing it for both of us. I should be doing it for me. But all I was trying to do was be the best fucking robot Mike I could possibly be, so Jill would still love me the next morning. So, like I said, I skipped ahead, but when we were for that year that I was kind of texting with her and chasing her, and I started to lose weight and I started to feel pretty good about myself. And, I wound up, I slept with somebody else. I think I've talked about it on here, but I did. So, and not only once, it happened a couple times. And the last time was about 5 days before I saw Jill. And then we consummated our relationship for the first time. Now she was, like I said, she was still living with her husband. She was still, I'm not justifying what I did, because I was in love with her and I knew it, but I was a different person. I was a guy who was, validating himself through I was an empty fucking vessel. Like I needed people to tell me they loved me. And sex I equated with love. And so when someone showed interest in me, she did, and that was it. I was vulnerable for it, but also I fucking wanted it. I'd just come out of a 20-year relationship with my fucking wife, and I kind of wanted it. So I did. And like I said, I did it a couple times, and then Jill and I got together, and then a couple months went by, and then Jill found out about what had happened. And she found it in the worst way possible. She found out through this show, because I told the story on the show. And, and it was her birthday week. and she and I had plans to go to Florida in a couple of weeks, and she was devastated. And she called me, and she was shocked, and she was, and I will tell you this: one thing I learned about Jill was she is hypersensitive to anything you say. Like if you say and you meant but, she thinks you meant something completely different, and she's very good. She's a lot like me in that respect. In that she'll take your sentence and she'll parse it 9 different ways, and then she'll decide that the worst way it could possibly be interpreted is the way you fucking meant it. So I lost my mind because I almost lost her. And so she's like, you cheated on me. And I'm like, yes, I know, I'm sorry. And I was begging. And I mean, I was at work crying. This is when I was working at the barbecue house, and I would cry on the road, and I was calling her, and it was devastating. And we were texting and we're talking, and it was this huge soap opera drama. And all I could see was me losing the person that I loved the moment I saw her, because of a moment of selfishness where I decided I was more important. Where you know what I did? I did the thing I've done my whole life. I grabbed candy bars instead of fucking a sandwich. I did what I wanted. That was why my fucking wife left. I did what I wanted. You know, I went out with my friends to poker. I went to my friends at movies. I went to fucking New York by myself to visit Brandy and Seth, when I could have taken Jill or Karen very easily, but I didn't, because I told her it was work. The fuck is that? What a selfish fucking dickbag. Believe me, I'm still relitigating my fucking marriage to Karen. And that's another reason it's made it so hard with Jill. Because I did not want to fail Jill, because I already failed Karen. So I dedicated myself to being everything I wasn't with Karen for Jill. So I almost lost her. And thankfully, I did not. Thankfully, we were able to work it out. And a week later, I walked into Shannon's office. And I said, I have to fix me. I don't know what it is, but I almost lost the most important thing in my life. And so we got to fix me. How's that going? So that's 2014. So, and Jill and I stayed together. I consider us having been together from the moment I saw her in 2011. I mean, because I walked on stage and I fucking knew, even though I was married, and then I found out that she was married. I was bound and determined that was going to be my life. And that was what I would tell her. I'd say, and she would even say in the beginning of our relationship, you're going to go away. Everybody goes away. And I'd say, I'm the one who doesn't go away. I'm your happy ending. You're my perfect fit. I go nowhere without you. You're mine. That's it. And saying those things, no, she never fully believed them, in my opinion, because of what had happened when I had slept with somebody else. And I don't think she ever fully invested in my truth, even though I fully meant I was so committed, so fucking committed. That's all I wanted. All I wanted. I wanted to be 1,000 years old, smiling into a fucking sunset with her holding my hand. So we wound up in dating, and we've had our ups and downs. Things have happened. It's funny. Just today on Facebook, they have those photos. They're like, on this day, on this day. Well, on this day in, I think it was 2014. 2014. I was at the Magic Castle with you and Eddie and Jill. And there's a photo of me with Jill, and I'm in a suit, and she looks unbelievably stunning in her blue dress with her fucking blue eyes popping. And I wrote, thanks to Eddie Medrano and Lily Von Stuck for having me here. And of course, the beautiful Jill. And I said, I'm told I'm in this photo, but all I can see is my future. It's a funny thing about the future. So here we are. And people keep still asking me, what's up with Jill? What's up with Jill? What's going on with Jill? And I say, I don't know. I will tell you I will give you a status report of what's gone on recently. In February, we were scheduled to go to a therapy weekend in San Francisco because we've spent 4 years fucking and fighting and being in love and alternately not talking. And I walked away quite a bit. I've talked about that on the show. I would leave, but it's because I felt like I wasn't being heard. because I would state something that hurt me or was a problem, and then it would happen again, and then it would happen again, and I didn't understand it. And honestly, whenever we would get into some sort of really deep fight, I would have to hear, well, if you don't know what it's like to have been cheated on, it's really kind of it really hurts you very badly, and I hope you never have that experience. And I would be like, it's been 3 years. I don't expect full forgiveness. I don't expect you to forget, but you have to recognize that I would never do anything like that, and I've never done anything like that since. And I whatever. All right, so we got back together in November, and I did a show already where I talked about how I lost my mind once and blocked her on social media, and then she reached out to me, and then I apologized, and we got back, and then we fought again, and we got back, and we fought again. But a lot of the same things were happening from November until January. She came out here in January, and I saw her, and I mean, again, when I was at her house in November, and then I saw her in January, there were moments that are perfect and beautiful. And then there are moments that I don't ever want to relive. And I've been reliving them over and over for 4 years. And I'm sure she'd tell you the same fucking thing. So in January, we did the same. There was the same pattern. She'd see me, and then she'd leave. And then like within a day, she'd be like, hey, I haven't heard from you. And I go, well, I'm home. You can call me. And she'd go, well, you can call me. And I go, well, yeah, but I'm in my house. Call me, honey. I love you. Call me whenever you want. And then she'd go, well, you could call me whenever you want. It was the dumbest high school nonsense bullshit in the fucking world. And we both did it. It was just like, pick up the fucking phone. Who cares? But it would always be this weird standoff. And then but I will tell you this, there was the informed history of so many things that had happened in the past that had just gotten me to the point where I was fucking mad. And I hated constantly apologizing for being me or apologizing for things I didn't think I had done. And you might wonder how I reached that point. The first huge fight Jill and I ever had, the first monstrous fight Jill and I ever had, she was out here, it's 2014, I think, and I'm sure she was still raw from what had happened. But we went on our baseball tour, and we went to the first game in Anaheim, and then we were going to Disneyland, and then we were going to go to San Diego for a game, and then we were going to come to my house and then fly to San Francisco for a game, and then come back and see the Dodgers in LA. I was so excited. It was fantastic. She came out. We went to the Anaheim game, and it was like a 19-inning game, and the Angels wanted a homer in the bottom of the 19th. Such a great experience to be there with her for that. And then we went to Disneyland, and I took a photo of her, and I put it on Facebook, and I meant it then. And I wrote, okay, now they can officially call it the happiest place on earth, because she had finally shown up. And then we went to San Diego for the game, and I told the story on here, we met homeless guys, and we had fucking amazing Mexican food, and I caught a foul ball. And I put the photo up on Facebook, and I said, magic happens when my beautiful girl is there. Because how many games I've been to, I'd never even come close. I came close once, I apologize. But I actually caught a foul ball with her. And it was one of my favorite photos of all time. We had this, we asked the people behind us to take a photo, and we made them take 40. I mean, like literally, well, hold on, I got to move my wrist, and the sun is, but then and these people were very kind and patient and gracious, but we took like 40 photos. And then like the next time I saw Jill, she had taken my favorite one and had it framed. The two best photos I've ever been in my life, my two favorite photographs I've ever been in my life, were on the day that I could actually go public and tell all of you that Jill and I were in a relationship. And it's a picture of her in a black dress that I bought for her with my hand around her waist, and I put it on Facebook, and then also the foul ball photo, and she had them both framed. They were in my house. So we went to San Diego, and the game was great. It was fantastic, and we were driving home, and we were talking, and then I was quiet because I was just driving, and I noticed that she was kind of being withdrawn, and I was like, you okay? And she's like, yeah. She goes, you're just not talking to me. I was like, oh, okay. And I said, well, you want to, and I started to talk about the game or whatever. And she'd give me like 1-word answers. Yeah, no, yeah. And I said, are you upset? Like, why are you upset? And she goes, well, you've been kind of ignoring me. I said, but I'm not ignoring you. I mean, if you want, and it was the same thing as now I think about it now, Jesus Christ, I just had this epiphany. It's the same thing as 5 years later with the phone. Well, talk. You want to talk to me? Ask me. Let's talk. I mean, you can talk. You can start a conversation. I'm driving. And again, it's just dumb high school fucking horseshit. But when it goes on for 4 fucking years, you both want to just fucking go, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with us? I may be the only one who feels that way in the relationship. So I kept trying to talk to her, and she gave me these one-word answers. So in my head, I'm just like, well, fuck this. I'm not gonna, fine. I'm not gonna talk. So we drove like an hour in silence, and I was like, you can turn the music on or change it or whatever you want to do. If you want to sleep or whatever. No, I'm fine. All right. We get home. We go to bed. She literally sleeps on the edge of the mattress, as far away from me as she possibly can, because I had the air bed at the time. And I kind of was like, good night. And I went to, and she gave me and she was never not affectionate. It was the weirdest fucking thing. That was the whole thing. She loved my hands on her. She loved her hands on me. And for her to pull away like that was so strange. So we were flying early in the morning to San Francisco. I got up and, she was already getting ready. She was getting her, I was late. I stayed in bed too long. So she's getting her hair done and I walk out and I go, hey baby. And I walked right past her and I turned the shower on real quick because I'm hustling to get out the door to catch the plane. She's like, morning. And she's curling her hair. And I walk past her and then I think I made the bed and I got some stuff and I jump right in the shower. I'm doing my hair and I'm washing my hair. I get out of the shower and I go, hey, beautiful. And I go, you ready for San Francisco? You ready for baseball? She's like, yeah. Like no enthusiasm, no excitement. So then I pack my shit and I go to grab my stuff and we go to walk out. I go, you okay? She goes, yeah, I guess so. I'm fine. I go, what is wrong? She goes, do you know that you haven't kissed me yet this morning? I go, oh, I'm sorry, baby. I'm hustling to catch the plane. She goes, yeah, but you haven't even touched me. Like because I told you I would make her coffee and I would hold her and because I couldn't keep my hands off of her, but I was being a human being rather than a boyfriend and just trying to get in the car and get to the fucking airport. And then we could relax and then I'll fuck you on the plane. I don't care. I'm into that. Let's do that. But it just seemed to me to be common sense. Like, we're just hustling to get out the door and I'll kiss you now, baby. Or you can just grab me and go, hey there, muscles. Like fucking, stop. She never called me muscles in her life. I don't know why the fuck that came up. Hey, honey, or stop me and just go, well, are you going to kiss me this morning? I mean, playfully but then I would say that to her and she'd be like, why are you putting that on me? And I go, I'm not putting it on you. I'm just saying that you could do that. I'm sorry if I'm out of my head or I'm running around, but you could stop me in my fucking tracks by literally going, hey, and throwing me your fucking 8,000 megawatt smile, and I would stop in my tracks and do whatever you said, because that's who I am, and I was a slave to her. I was obsessed, man. Fuck. So we started to go to San Francisco, and she was still being shitty in the car. And then we're driving, and we hit traffic, like death traffic, and it looks like we're gonna miss the fucking flight. And then it turns out we forgot something at the house. I forget what it was. We had to go back to the house. Oh, I think I forgot the baseball tickets or something. And I was like, we got to go back. And that meant for sure we're going to miss the flight because it's morning fucking traffic. So then we had to go back and then it just escalated to where we're both fucking pissed and we're fucking angry and we're furious and we're mad at one another. And she's giving me a ton of shit and I'm just sitting there and this, again, this is early in our relationship. I will tell you this. So I was still me to a certain extent. So she started with and this is my view of it. As we got closer to the airport, she was being shitty to me. And I was like, hey, fuck you. I go, if you want to go home, go home. I'm not going to go to San Francisco and have you fucking tear me apart like this the whole fucking trip. And she's like, well, I don't know. You got up this morning, you were shitty to me all last night in San Diego. I wasn't fucking shitty to you in San Diego. We were in the car. It got silent. You want to talk to me? Fucking talk to me. But I was vocal about it. And I was like, fuck this. You're going home. I'm not going to San Francisco. I'm not going if you're going to fucking treat me like this. This is bullshit. And we go into the parking garage and I literally, I go, I'll drop you off at the gate and you can just change your flight. And she's like, no, fuck, what are you doing? You're going to leave me? You're just dropping me at the airport? How could you just drop me at the airport? I'm in a strange city. I don't know anyone. I'm supposed to fly to San Francisco by myself. I go, no, change your flight to Milwaukee and just go home. I go, what the fuck? I'm not going to go and get fucking yelled at or made to feel like shit. I'm just not. And I mean, this fight rages in the car for 45 minutes to an hour where we're just going back and forth. And then I get to the parking lot and I literally parked in airport parking because she wouldn't let me drop her at the gate. And then I said, well, go, just get out, go. And I was basically telling her to get the fuck away from me because that's who I was and kind of who I am. That's who I am. I'm very much, fuck this, dude. Why is this happening? Now, is it healthy or smart to be that way? Probably not, but that's who I am. And I never wanted to be that guy around her. Like I said, we'd been together now for 2 years or whatever. And I was trying to keep her and hold her and wanted her to be with me. But we'd never had this kind of fight. She'd never treated me like that before. And so we walked into the airport. I go, fine, I'll go with you. Fuck it, I'll go. So we walked into the airport and we waited in fucking line. And we had missed our flight. And we got right to the counter, and the guy goes, what's going on? And I go, well, we missed our flight to San Francisco. And he goes, oh, okay, well, we can figure that out. I go, well, do me a favor. I go, can we just turn these 2 tickets for San Francisco into 1 ticket to Milwaukee and just get her home? Because I tricked her. I brought her into the airport into the guys that I was going to go with her, and I was like, well, fuck this, because that's how I was going to handle it. And she literally goes, no! And she grabbed my arm, and she goes, don't you do this. Don't you do this. And I go, no, it's fine. You can go home. We don't have to fight. You just go. It's fine. I took you in. I'm taking care of you. I'm letting you go, and you can go. If you're going to, because you're mad at me. You don't want to go to San Francisco with me. Look at this. This is ridiculous. We're going to be like this? It's pointless. And she's like, please don't do this. Do not do this. Please don't. And I'm like, I don't want to be this. I don't want to be fighting the whole fucking time. I just can't. It had been 2 hours of nonstop. And so I looked at the guy, and he's like, well, we can do that. You want me to switch it to Milwaukee? And I'm like, and she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and overall, above all, whether you know me, and I question me, and whether I'm making the right decisions or doing the right fucking thing, and in my head I went, fuck, this is a good opportunity for you to not be you, because what you want is to stop getting yelled at, or what you want is maybe, and then I went, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have kissed her. Maybe I should have held her this morning because I do love her, and maybe I should have done those things. And then I went, no, we'll go to San Francisco. We're fine. When's the next flight? He switched it. And we silently walked to the gate. And when we got to the gate, we sat at the airport bar. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. And we just sobbed. I mean, we just burst into tears, both of us. And I said, I can't ever have this happen again. I can't. And she's like, I don't know. I don't want it to happen. And I go, well, I know, but what was, I didn't mean to upset you. I promise you. I love you. I did not mean to upset. I was trying to just hustle out of the house, baby. And last night I was trying to talk to you too. She goes, you just have to understand that's, and it's, we had a talk and we cried. I mean, I didn't give a fuck if anybody saw me. I was sobbing in an airport bar, which, I'm not alone. Let's be honest. But she and I were both just crying and then holding each other. And that was a major fight, the first major fight. And then we got on the plane to San Francisco, and we checked into this funky hotel that had crazy colors. It looked like the Partridge Family bus inside our room. It was that crazy for colors. And then we went to AT&T Park. We were seeing the White Sox and the Giants. We took an Uber. It was great. And I had been telling her, I go, you have to go to AT&T Park, because I had been there once with our friend Lou Kipp. And I said, not only is the park the most beautiful park, because I haven't been to Pittsburgh yet. I go, it's just this view of the ocean. It's phenomenal. But I go, they also have these concessions that are amazing, because baseball became our thing. We would go to games. We would watch games at our house, but we would go to games in different stadiums and learn about them and eat their food. It was fucking fantastic to share that with her. It was so great. So I was telling her for months about this soft shell crab sandwich, because I'm fat. So I'm like, you're not going to believe this thing. I can't wait till we eat it. It's going to be so great. The game, the park is beautiful, but honey, you got to eat this fucking crab sandwich. It's amazing. So I think the crab sandwich is $17. So the one cute thing about Jill is she has a fucking amazing job, but if she doesn't have to spend 1 penny more than she has to, she won't. She's just frugal. I used to tease her about it, but it's smart. I mean, she's just a smart girl, smart woman about money. And me, I'm an idiot. I'm like, hey, fuck yeah, I'm just throwing singles off the airplane. I'm sure somebody down there needs it. So she saw the price tag for $17 for a crab sandwich. She's like, honey, that's a little bananas. And I'm just like, all right, well, you want to split one? And she's like, yeah, we can do that. I go, you got it. Because that was another thing I used to talk about. She was always a yes. I loved that about her. And I told her it constantly. I go, you know what I love about you? You're a yes. Like anything. You want to do that? Yes. And then she would say, I would do anything with you. So, except buy 2 crab sandwiches. So I said, all right, well, we'll split a sandwich. So we bought a crab sandwich, and we're both exhausted. It's been a long fucking day. And we go over by this table, and I go, honey, it's so good. You're not gonna believe it. It's so damn good. And I picked it up and I took a bite out of it. And she looked at me, and then she kind of like looked down. I said, honey, you got to try it. She goes, no, I'm not hungry. I said, what do you mean you're not hungry? I go, honey, and she goes, no, I'm okay. I go, come on. I go, what, are you scared of the legs? Like, is it a little crab dude or whatever? And she just, no, I'm good. I go, honey, I've literally been telling you for months about this sandwich. Like, I don't understand why and then you wanted to split one. We just said in the line you wanted to split it. Like, I don't understand. And she said, well, I mean, you already took a bite of it. I mean, she goes, you usually let me take the first bite, or you usually, so, but I mean, maybe if you're that hungry, you can just go ahead and have the whole sandwich. And I went, what? And she goes, yeah, no. She goes, you usually either cut it in half and give me half, or you let me take the first bite. You always do. Like you fill my water and stuff. But if you're maybe you're that hungry or whatever, just go ahead. It's okay. You can just finish it. And this is true. I started to shake. Like I've never done that in my life where I just I could feel it. And I just started to cry. And I grabbed her and I hugged her and I held her as hard as I could. And she's like, don't worry, it's okay. And I go, tell me who you want me to be. Tell me how you want me to be. I'll do it. I'll be who you want. I'll be how you want. I'll do it. Just, you got to tell me. And, and then I got a hold of myself. But in that moment, then we went and watched the game. We had fun, and San Francisco was fun. And then the Dodger game was great. But in that moment, coupled with the fact that I had hurt her so bad through the show, I decided I couldn't be me anymore. Now, there were things about me that I needed to change and things I had to do, but instead of not just changing for the better, I wanted to do whatever she said. I wanted to be who she wanted. And it caused problems from the jump, because then she would be like, well, I don't want to tell you how to be. I'm not trying to make you be a certain way. And I go, no, and I didn't care. I made myself into a lapdog. I made myself into the guy who met her at the door when she got home from work and hugged her and asked her if she needed any wine and if she wanted anything. And she even had to tell me, hey, you're smothering me after a while. But then when I stayed on the computer, when she walked in the door and I said, hey, hon, and she'd walk in the room and she'd go, oh, you're on your computer. I'll leave you be. And I go, no, you said I was smothering you at the fucking door. So now I'm on the computer. What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to be? Who the fuck do you want me to be? Because you used to love me until I hurt you. So that moment in San Francisco is when I decided I would just change. And I would, and so it changed even the show. Hurting her through the show had made this bad because, I felt fucking terrible about it. And I didn't want to lose her, and I never wanted to ever make her feel bad. And I told her that, and it was true. I never did. So then, but it's telling to me that in the airport, I was like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. Because that's who I was. And then that moment with the sandwich, I decided I can't be this anymore. I will be whatever she tells me to be. Just to keep her, just to have her. Because I needed her. I needed to have her. And maybe I was working too hard for something that I could have already had. I don't know. I don't fucking know. So over the years, things would happen and there'd be fights. And where we find ourselves now, we were supposed to go to therapy in San Francisco in February. And, when she left here in January, the same shit that had happened before had happened. Like, she'd been gone a day and a half, and she's like, are you just not going to call me today? And I go, well, you can call me. And she's like, no, this happened all the fucking time. And I even texted her, I love you more than anything. Read this every morning as a fucking mantra to reassure you that I am not going anywhere and I want to be with you. But then, of course, I would give lie to that because I would go somewhere when we'd have a fight. I would walk away, but it's because I felt I wasn't being heard, telling her, if you just, and I can't hang that on her all the way. I can't. But it was both of us. And then she'd give me something like, well, you're doing this. I don't want to get it. It's the minutia of it. Doesn't fucking matter. But we got back together in November, like I said, and then I went to her place in November, and I was a guy who I always, this is the problem. I would overlook things that would bother me. I would overlook things that hurt me. And then another thing would happen, and all of it then would rain down upon my fucking head. Everything I had pushed down and went, well, all right, I asked her about that, but it didn't happen. Or I asked her about that to fix that, and it didn't. She's doing the same thing or whatever. And then all of it would, and I told her about this. I even said to her, I go, look, you don't understand. It's not like if I get upset about something, I'm upset about 100 things because they've never been resolved. And the same shit keeps happening when I ask you about it. And I said, please, if we could just do this, because I even sat her down in November. I said, tell me what you want from me. Tell me what you need from me. And she's like, I just want you, I just want honesty and I want you to love me. And I was like, great, I can do that. I can absolutely do that. But I was like, but there's specifically, if you tell me you need me to call you like twice a day, I'll do it. Because I had always told her for fucking years, hey, look, can you call me? This fucking sums it up. I'd say, do me a favor, text me when you get to work in the morning. And she'd go, well, you're sleeping. And I go, that's fine. I just want to know you got there safe. And she wouldn't. She just didn't do it. And I'd go, why are you? She goes, well, I don't want to wake you up. And I go, listen, I'm telling you, text me when you get to work. I grab the phone, I look, I smile, and I go back to sleep. And then I get to dream of you, or maybe jerk off thinking about you at work. Who fucking knows? Something like that. But I asked for years. I said, literally, the only thing I absolutely need is I need you to text me in the morning when you get to work, and then text me at night when you go to bed. Or if you go out somewhere, text me when you get home. And, tell me who you're with. That'd be kind of cool. And then I started to think, am I being too overbearing here? Am I asking for too much? But as a guy who was 3,000 miles away from his girlfriend, I didn't think it was a big chore to fucking text me in the morning when he got to work and then text me after. Well, for 2 years, like I said, I would ask and she would never do it. But then like the last 8 months of our relationship, or not even, I don't even know how fucking long it was. Then she started to do it. And then when we'd have a fight, she'd go, hey, I'm doing that thing you asked about. And I'm like, yeah, but there's all the other shit that's going on now. I mean, fuck. And I never wanted to feel like this. I never wanted it to be an issue or anything. There was a delineation because then for 2 years after San Francisco, for 2 years, I would get sad. Like when I told the plunger story, or I told all these stories on here where we would have a small fight about something and it would turn into more, and then I'd get a silent treatment for 8 hours, or she'd go to bed without me, and I finally would be like, please, 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 please. And then I felt like a fucking pussy doing that, which was stupid, but it was against who I was as a person. It was against me. I wasn't an on the knees crawling type of guy. I mean, I'm kind of a, I don't know what I am. I don't. And that's the problem. I still fucking don't. But I knew I was a guy who didn't like to eat a lot of shit. And then I felt like I was eating shit for a long time. And for the first 2 years, I was sad about it. And I'd basically, give her I don't know what you need. What do you need, baby? I love you. Please. What do you need? I need. And then there was one specific incident that I'm not going to, I've bored you enough with minutia. But it was the tipping point. And I went from getting sad to getting mad. From that point on, I wasn't sad when I thought I had hurt her. I wasn't sad when things happened, and I didn't go, well, what do you need? I was pissed. And that's hard to get back from. So we got back together in November. I walked away in September. I did a show where I told you guys what happened in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. Same thing happened in D.C. And we had a nightmare trip to Washington, D.C. in August. And then I went to Kuwait for a couple of weeks. And then we had a trip scheduled to go to Denver. I didn't talk to her the whole time I was in Kuwait because D.C. was just so, well, D.C. was rough, but then whatever. So I came home from Kuwait and she was at the airport in LA. I mean, I hadn't talked to her. I didn't plan on talking to her. And I saw her and I was shocked. And also I felt better than I ever had in my life. Because laying eyes on her was always this electrical charge that made me think that everything was going to be okay. Even in the middle of fights. I can't explain to you why even when everything was going to hell and going wrong, I could look at her and still know that everything was going to be okay. Because I wanted her that badly. So she came up to me at the airport in LA and I was shocked, but also happy and surprised. And then we left and we drove to my place. And in the car, she's like, well, you didn't talk to me in Kuwait. And I said, well, I know. And she's like, well, you want to get into that? Why? And I go, well, I wasn't ever going to talk to you again. And she's like, why? And I go, you really want to get into this in the fucking 405? You want to talk about this? And she's like, yeah, I do. And I explained to her why I had walked away. And she laughed. And she goes, oh, honey, if you would have just communicated with me, I could have explained that. And then she gave me an explanation that was completely unacceptable. And I go, that doesn't explain anything. And she goes, well, no. And she goes, I said, no, that doesn't mean anything. And she goes, well, you're just not going to let me, and I know I'm not. Because I had previously, whenever we'd had a disagreement like that, I just shoved it down into my gut and not fucking thought about it. So we went to my place, and then we had, just another epic, unbelievable sobbing fight. And I was like, get out, just get out, and just go wherever you got to go and do whatever you got to do. And the sun went down. I remember we were literally arguing in the sunlight of August, and then it was dark in my house. And because we were supposed to fly to Denver, I was like, I'll cancel Denver. I don't want to do it. We don't have to do any of this stuff. And she was crying, and then I was like, go, and she wouldn't leave. And I was like, go, it's fine, go, just do what you got to, because I kept running because I wasn't being fucking heard. I did not feel like I was being heard. And the funny thing is, she feels the same way. She's like, well, you're not listening. You always say, you always see it through your eyes. I'm like, I only have my eyes, man. And I would see it through her eyes, but I did not agree with her point of view. I didn't think it was the same. I thought she was wrong. And so I would say, well, let's fix it. And then she would always just tell me that I was seeing it through my eyes and I was too stubborn and I was wrong. And fuck, dude. And it was just a problem. We both thought the other was wrong all the time. Like, I would have a complaint. I would say, look, I hate this. I don't like when this happens. And she'd go, oh, I get it. I understand. And then it would happen again. She had so many dudes coming out of the fucking woodwork. And she would show me their texts or Facebook messages or guys on her photos. And I talked about this on here. Guys would be like, she even told me, one of her friends, she's like, oh yeah, he's just being an asshole. He's trying to bother you. I'm like, well, then that guy's not your fucking friend. And like 2 months later or a month later, she'd go to lunch with the guy. I go, what the fuck are you doing with that guy? He hates me. He wants to try to make me feel a certain way. He makes me feel bad. I don't get it. And she's like, well, he's my friend. If you knew him, I go, well, I don't know him. I've never met him. All I know is he decided he wanted to fuck me through Facebook. And then she would get upset with me. Because then she'd meet a guy or whatever, and I'd go, and I'd be suspicious. I just would. Because all of them had a motive, in my opinion. And then she would say, you're so wrong. She goes, you think all these guys want to fuck me. You're just so mad that they're just my friends. Like, why can't they just be friends? Why can't I have guy friends? And I go, okay, that's fine. But you've told me, like, there was a dude. Fuck. There was a dude. This is a million years ago. This is like in the beginning of our relationship. She told me he was stalking her. She's like, this guy, yeah, it's weird. He's like triangulating my position at the bar on Facebook and shit. It's really strange. And I'm like, okay. And I don't know if I've told this story on here or not. I have no fucking clue. And so then I looked on Facebook, and the guy was writing on other guys' Facebook walls, hey, is Jill there? Keep her there. I'm on my way. Like this kind of shit. This is the beginning of our relationship. So she's like, yeah, it's really creepy. And then the guy came up to her and he's macking on her in the fucking bar. She told me all this. He put a quarter on her knee. And he said, hey, whenever you want to give somebody a call, there you go. You want to give me a call. And she told me about it. And I was like, well, I go, did he give you his phone number at, engineer 56781 in 1950? The fuck is that line? And she's like, he's a creep, man. It's really creepy. Like, I go, yeah, it's creepy. Stay the fuck away from that guy. She goes, yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't, like, why would he do that? And I go, because you're hot and you're beautiful and you're in a bar and he probably thought he could talk to you. And I would always be like, I would be that guy. Like, I would try to go, well, just stay away from them or fuck them or block them or get away from them. So that dude, he did that with the fucking quarter. So, I don't know, 3 weeks later. Now look, I'm fucking bananas. All right. I would look at Jill's social media and then I'd look at these guys' social media. And I absolutely looked around at stuff because, she told me they were creeps or they were hitting on her or they were doing stuff. So I went to this dude's page and he wrote something about, the first journey of a long thing takes a long step, some bullshit. And underneath it, she wrote, better than walking in the rain, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, absolutely. Well, first of all, what the fuck are you doing talking to this guy? You told me he was a creep. You told me what he did in the bar. He put a quarter on your fucking knee, and you told me that this guy was bad news. He was literally writing on other men's pages to keep you in a bar so he can come and talk to you. Now you have in-jokes? So then I thought to myself, well, you know what? She told me the other day that she had gone for a beer at this bar in town, and it was raining outside. So we went up on the phone, and I'm talking. I go, hey, you know when you went to Schooners the other day? She's like, yeah. And I go, you went, and it was raining, right? And she goes, yeah. And I go, who'd you go with? She goes, what do you mean? I go, who did you go with? She goes, I told you I went there for a beer. I go, yeah, with who? This guy. I won't say his name, but she sighed and said his name. Like, here we go again. This guy. And I go, were you going to tell me you went to the bar with this guy? She goes, look, he was walking in the rain. I saw him. I pulled over because I don't like anybody walking in the rain. So I gave him a lift and he was like, hey, you want to go have one at Schooners before we go home? And he said, yes, before you take me home. And I said, and again, you can have a drink with your friend. I don't give a fuck. But you just spent all this time telling me about the pickup line and him stalking you and what a creep he was and he's fucking this and that. And so I hate the fucking guy. And now you have a secret beer with the fucking guy and you don't even tell me? So, and this is 3 years ago that this happened. And I go, so what are you doing with this guy? And she's like, I just had a beer. I go, yes, but you didn't tell me you had a beer. You could have texted, hey, Mike, I'm having a beer with this guy at the bar. And I would have said, well, why the fuck are you with that guy? She goes, yeah, well, I didn't want to have that fucking conversation. And I'm like, well, of course you don't, because you told me he was a fuck up. And now you're with him having a beer in the dark in the rain. So then this guy becomes her friend. They're texting, they're talking, they're friends. And I didn't like it. But I was like, I can't tell her who her friends are, but I would still freak out about it. And I was weird about it because I'm 3,000 miles away and, it's just a thing. I just don't like it. Now there's a reason I feel this way because another thing had happened. I can't get into all of this shit with you people right now because holy fuck, it's just a podcast. Anyway. Then we're at her son's football practice. This is like a year later. I hate myself for this part, but it happened. And she gets a text and she goes, oh, and she goes, this guy's moving in next door. Cause she had told me he was evicted and he was looking for a place, all these different things. Okay, cool. I go, he's not going to crash in your couch or anything like that, is he? He's not going to, and she's like, no, oh my God, no way. And she literally gets a text while she's standing next to her. She goes, oh my God. She goes, this guy is moving in next door. And I go, what? She goes, he got the house next door. I go, next door to you? She goes, yeah. I go, just don't fuck him. And her face looked like she saw a monster. I mean, she's just like, I can't believe you just said that to me. I go, you're right. It's probably out of line, but fuck him. And I don't like him. And now he gets to be next door with you all the time. And that's a drag because I don't get to be with you. She's like, he's just my friend. I go, great. He's just your friend to you. To me, he's the guy who put a quarter on your knee and maybe he still thinks he's got a shot. I don't fucking know. I don't know anything about him. And then I met the guy and he was nice. He was very nice to me when he met me. So then I was cool once I met the guy and I shook his hand. But it was still weird to me that he was next door. Particularly then when she has to go to work at 4 a.m. and she texts me that he was coming over and knocking on the door at 2:30 or 3 a.m. needing beer. And so she invited him in the house while she was getting ready for work and just gave him a beer to take next door because he had a girl coming over to meet him at his house. And I'm like, why the fuck is there a strange man in your house at fucking 2:30 in 3 o'clock in the morning? She's like, it's not a strange guy. It's this guy. He's a strange guy to me. You don't know who the fuck he is. He's had a couple of pops in him. Who the fuck knows what he decides to do? You're standing there sexy, barefoot and wet hair. And she's like, shut up. And I'm like, seriously, I don't know these men and neither do you. And that just happened. And then I would tell her, I don't get it. And she would tell me, I would meet a guy and there was one specific guy I met and I liked him. I liked him and he had a wife or whatever and they were great. And then she started to tell me, yeah, he's starting to text me in the morning and he's sending me like, and I'm just like, why are you, okay, so I got to hate him now? Like, then he's a dick. And then she'd be like, no, he's okay. But, she would tell me there was another guy, like she met a guy, this guy asked her to come down alone to a bonfire and she went. And I'm like, okay, well just do me a favor and check in with me like before or after all that stuff. And then it turns out at the bonfire, like the guy grabbed her hand and told her how sexy he was and he always wanted her and she's beautiful. And then she told me all that after. And she's like, yeah, it was really creepy. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad you're safe at home now. And he's only 3 houses away if he wants to come in with an axe and kick in your door and fucking find you. But that shit would spin me the fuck out. Because then she'd go out and, like I said, she wouldn't text me when she went to bed. And I'd go, why didn't you text me when you got home or whatever? And or why can't you text me when you go for work? And I told the story on here where she got roofied in a bar. And so that's why I was like, can you just text me when that you're okay and that you're safe? That was what it was. But then it turned into so much more because I would always have to, I mean, she showed me a text from a guy that was there. And again, I may have repeated all of this. I don't have any idea because I got to be honest. I've spoken so much to fucking Shannon about this bullshit. I can't tell you. But there was a dude on Facebook who's like, your boyfriend isn't funny. I'm so much better than him. I'm so much funnier. Ditch the weekend with him. Tell him you're sick and stay with me all weekend. Guys are writing that to her on Facebook. And she's showing it to me. I go, give me your phone. I'm calling that motherfucker right now. And she's like, I don't have his phone number. He doesn't have my phone number. I go, what do you mean? She goes, he doesn't have my phone number. He wrote me on Facebook. She goes, I wouldn't give him my phone number. She goes, but if you met him, he's a really nice guy. I go, I don't give a fuck how nice that guy is. Listen to what he fucking said about me. I go, I'll find him in the fucking bar and put his head through a goddamn table. I don't give a fuck. And she's like, you don't understand. When he's with me, he's polite and he's so nice. But when he texts, he's just, that's just men. And then I started to believe it. Like she had me convinced that it was just men are like that and that men are constantly, and look, I know in the age of social media, every woman's getting cock photos. She had a guy send her cock photos, a guy she knew from school. And and look, this emasculated the shit out of me. She happened to be with another guy that she hung out with all the time and she let him handle it rather than tell me. And I'm like, fucking, what are you doing? You got to tell me about that shit and I'll call this fucking guy and I'll break his fucking jaw. And you know what I will do? I won't even use my fists. I'll just bash my fucking head into his face until he crumbles to the fucking ground. And then I'll stomp the fuck out of him until shit runs out of his ears. And then I'll bury his face in it like a dog making shit on the fucking carpet. Because stay the fuck away from my girl. Woman. Wife. Whatever. Mine. But she let the other guy fucking handle it. So I got to own that for the rest of my fucking life. That I look like a pussy who couldn't, in my opinion. Granted, I didn't look like a pussy because she didn't come to me with that. But when she told me later that he sent cock photos, I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Why would he do that? And she's like, I don't know. He's just that. And then don't worry. This guy took care of it and told him he's out of line. Well, fucking a year and a half later, she's in a bar with the guy. This is true. This is totally true. She put up a picture in the bar with this guy who lived next door to her and that guy who sent cock photos. And she's smiling and she's like, haha, look who's back in town. And I'm like, fuck, look who's out of town, me, and look what happens when I'm not there. So then I write her and she's just like, oh, these are just friends. And I'm just like, they're fucking friends who sent you dick photos and friends who fucking put quarters on your legs and friends who you wrote on, other friends, whatever. I can't. This happens so fucking much, man. And again, she wasn't, I don't know what she was doing. She might have just been, because again, she's a lovely woman and she's friendly to everybody. She's really nice. She's awesome. And like she would say to me, I don't know why these guys do this all the time. And I'd go, because you're 5 feet tall, you weigh 99 pounds, you got big tits, and you're fucking sexy as hell. And you got a perfect smile and gorgeous hair and beautiful blue eyes, and you like sports, and you'll drink a beer. You're literally a wet dream in jeans. But you're my wet dream in fucking jeans, so hands fucking off. And then in my head, I'm just like, she likes this. Maybe she likes telling me about all these dudes to see me get fucking worked up, or I'll go through them like a fucking buzzsaw. Because, I would get worked up, but then she would get mad at me that I get worked up. And look, if it happened once, or if it happened twice, I could be like, fuck, whatever. Guys are dicks. It was everybody. She'd be at the airport. She'd send me a picture. She'd be like, this guy won't stop talking to me. Oh my God, I hope he doesn't save a seat. He's going to try to save a seat for me on the plane, he said. He asked where I'm going. He's like, well, why don't we just fly over here? You can stay. And I'm just like, and you know what? Part of this is my fault because in the beginning I said, I want to know when this happens. I literally told her, I go, hey, if somebody sends you a fucking text, I'll handle it. Just, you got to let me know. I guess I just didn't realize the volume at which it was happening because I had to hear it all the fucking time, all the time. Fuck it. I'm gonna say this. There was a dude, another guy on Facebook, and one time she wrote, like someone put a picture of him on her wall, and she wrote, that guy. And I was like, what the fuck is that? She goes, oh, he's just fun to look at. Excuse me? She goes, yeah, he's just sexy. It's no big deal. Okay. Well, then, he became a guy that I did not want around. I was like, I want nothing. I want you nowhere near that dude. Well, he was a musician in a local band, and then she'd go to see his band. And I'm like, that's weird that you're going to this, that you RSVP without telling me. She goes, what? I wasn't even going to see the band. I was just going to the party beforehand. I go, you didn't tell me. So then I find out through this, and she goes, well, I didn't think to tell you. I go, well, you could have told me you were even going to the party. I didn't even know that. So then she would be like, well, I don't do anything. I sit in the house and I just stay in there because I don't want you to get mad. I'm like, that's not the point. Go out. Have fun. Tell me who you're with. Tell me when you go. Tell me where you're going, and tell me when you're home. I don't think that's much to ask. Go have fun. Just kind of keep me in the loop. So that dude would he became this thing where I would always kind of bring it up. And then finally she's just like, could you stop bringing that up? Because it bothers me. And it made sense because I was just killing myself by bringing it up all the time. Except then she became friends with him on Facebook. And I'm like, all right. And then she tells me, yeah, he kind of creeped me out. And I'm like, why? And she goes, he went back and he liked all of my photos for a year. And I went, oh, well, that sounds normal. No, it doesn't. That's not fucking normal at all. You know what that is? That's another guy using the electronic singles bar to sniff around and show you he's interested, just like all these other fucking guys. But the problem is then I would go, hey, well, these dudes are just doing this. And she'd be like, well, what are you talking about? I just want to be friends. And I go, yeah, you do. But these motherfuckers want, dude, this is fucking, fuck. Hold that thought with that guy. Another guy, an ex-boyfriend. We went to a fucking movie and she said, I think that's my ex-boyfriend, one of the guys she used to date. I'm like, all right, great. So then we're leaving and this guy's out. He's out there waiting in the lobby and I see him in the John and I walk out. I go, that's him. I guarantee I saw his photo on Facebook. I know it's him. So he walks out and he's like, oh my God, Jill. And he gives her a big hug. Oh, it's good to see you. And she goes, great. And she goes, hey, this is my boyfriend, Mike. And he looks, he's like, and literally he doesn't even stop looking at her. He just reaches his hand out and he shakes my hand. He goes, great to meet you. So what have you been doing? And he's talking to her and he's with his dad and we all walk out together and he's just, they catch up a little bit and we go to leave. She goes, oh yeah, he's a good guy, but it's sad what happened. He's got a backstory, whatever the fuck. But I was introduced as her boyfriend. The next day he writes her on Facebook. Hey, look, I've always regretted, being away from you, and I think it's time we maybe rekindled some stuff, and let's go ahead and go to coffee. And dude, you met me. I'm literally a buzzsaw, a propeller. I'm a gorilla in a shirt. I will fuck you up. But that's how powerful it was, and that's how strong it was with her. I don't know. The extent in my head, I thought, well, wait a minute, does she? Because then I said to her, I go, well, tell him to get fucked. And she's just like, he's just, he's taking whatever. Because he asked her to meet her for coffee. He gave her a date and a time. Hey, just keep this to yourself. Let's go for coffee or whatever. And I don't, you might not have said keep it to yourself, but he wrote her a clandestine note. And I was just like, fuck. And I go, well, I guess, all right, go have coffee with him. She goes, I'm not going to have coffee with him, honey. I go, yeah, but you see that this is fucked, right? I mean, you see that this is not a cool thing. Could you maybe tell him and go, hey, I have a fucking boyfriend. She goes, oh, it's just, I'm just going to ignore it. She ignored everything, and I couldn't ignore any of it. So that dude that was sexy and fun to look at becomes her friend. He likes all of her photos for a year, and I looked at her and I go, look, I got to be honest. This is a guy that bothers me. Not just because a lot of guys write shit on your photos, and a lot of guys like your stuff. But I know you thought this guy was sexy, and you said it. She goes, oh, honey, and I go, no, listen. You wrote under his photo, that guy. So obviously he knows that you had, not even had a thing, but you thought he was sexy. So maybe that's why, and I should tell you this is 2 years later is when he becomes her friend and he likes all her photos. Should I just shut the fuck up? Is this boring? Is this? Tell me, you're a producer. Tell me.
Yes.
Okay.
You're mentally masturbating every guy that's ever...
I am. All right. Okay, well, but this is important. I'll tell you why. Because then I asked her to block that guy, and so she did. And then we got home from D.C., and then I didn't talk to her for a day, and then she friended him on Facebook a year later. And I was like, why would you do that? Why? And so that's why I did not talk to her when I went to Kuwait. I just bailed. Because I went, if you need that guy in your life, you don't need me. And that's when she met me at the airport, and I said, do you really want to fucking talk about this? And that's why she's like, oh, honey, a lot of people ask to be my friend. And I said, no, and it doesn't matter because I told you, first of all, A, I didn't want you being his friend, and B, you would have never seen his page if he was blocked. Well, no, but I didn't even notice it was him. It was just a bunch of guys. Like, no, that's a lie too, because you can see in the recently added, because again, I started to use Facebook like fucking Sherlock goddamn Holmes. It's terrible. But I stayed. Because I wanted her so fucking bad. And she stayed. Because she wanted me so fucking bad. I thought. I hoped. So I walked away in September, and that was because of, like I said, I walked away from Kuwait and that dude, and then, I'm spinning out of control here. I'm spinning. Fuck. I walked away in September. 2 months later, I approached her to come back together in November. November to January, a lot of the same shit was happening. And so in January, again, the same thing where we weren't talking, we weren't texting, and it just felt overwhelmingly bad. She came out here and visited me, and it was great. We had a great visit, but then when she went home, it just was increasingly strained as we were apart. But I did not want to go away. I didn't want to leave her. I didn't want to lose her. I never officially broke up because doing that meant it was over, and it cut the tie from someone who I loved from the moment I first saw her. And it also would mean that I'd probably have to take care of myself, and fuck Mike. But as February went on, and a lot of the same stuff was happening, and she was trying, I will tell you this, she started to call me in the morning and leave a video from her work, and she was trying in that respect, but other things were, I wasn't happy because I felt that the same things would continue to happen. I couldn't get her to see my side of it, and she couldn't get me to see her side of it. And we were supposed to go to that therapy session in San Francisco, and as we got closer, I was just like, is this even going to work? And we paid. I mean, we fucking both paid plane tickets and a hotel room and the seminar itself. I think we were both out of pocket $500. And I was ready to go, and I wanted to do it. I was excited. And then as it got closer, I just went, I can't. This isn't going to, I just think the same shit's going to happen, because here's why. When I would tell her my concerns, she would act like they weren't concerns. So I was like, well, what's therapy going to do? She's just going to go, no, it's not like that. And I'd go, no, it is like that. Because she would always say, I see things through my eyes. I go, well, you see things through your eyes, and you have to understand, I feel a certain way just like you do. So I talked to her the night before I was supposed to fly, and I said, I don't want to come to San Francisco. I don't. And she was like, but you promised. Because I did. I promised the day before. I said, I promise you I will go. And she was in this habit of asking me things 3 and 4 and 5 times, and I hated it because I answered the question every single time. Well, so I promised to go, and then she kept going, you're sure? And I go, yeah. And she goes, you're sure? And I go, yes. But I hated hearing it so much. I would finally, if she asked me 5 times, I go, no, forget it. I'm not doing it. Because you don't trust me enough to hear my answer, then fine. So I canceled the therapy, and I told her, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I don't think anything will ever change between us. And she said, and she cried, and I cried, and I was sobbing. And she said, you just promised. And I hated it. Hearing it made me fucking sick. But I felt for the first time that I had to do something that took care of Mike. Rather than just do what I wanted to do, I tried to do something that I thought was grown up and adult. And I just didn't think that things were going to change. And the phone call ended. Within 6 hours, she was single on Facebook. And I should say, one of the things that led me to think that things weren't going to change is because she had blocked me on social media, and I did that show where she stopped the donation to the show and all that stuff, and it just stuff, little things. So by the next morning, she was single on Facebook. She had posted that the weight of the world was finally off her shoulders, and she was finally free, and she was happy. And who was going to come take her dancing now? Someone come take me dancing, please, because now I'm finally happy for the first time in a long time. And that didn't feel great. But I did what I thought was right. So then I went to Kuwait for the second time, and when I came back, I boxed up all of her stuff. She had a bunch of clothes and stuff at my house, and she sent me all my clothes, and with a photo of us and a note that was like, this has always been my favorite photo. I don't know if you've ever seen it, and I love you. And so I sent her clothes back, and I included, I was talking on here about that 4 Agreements book. And I included my copy of it in there for her, and I wrote a note to her on the inside. And I actually wrote, there's a song that means something to us. There's a song called If You See California by Chris Robinson. And the first time I ever heard it, I go, that's us. This is when we were still texting. I still worked in Graveyardville. And I wrote, I said, take this and please know that you are loved. And then I wrote, and if you see California, ... Because that was my way of leaving it open, because I couldn't say goodbye. And she couldn't say goodbye. And I don't know how to say goodbye. I'd never done it before, and also I didn't want to. I didn't want to do it. So I sent her all of her stuff with that book, and then she sent me an email, and she was in business mode. And she was like, "Thanks for sending my things!" ! You need to, however, send my coffee pot, which was also there. And the coffee pot that was there was mine. But then I remember when she was here in January, she bought a Keurig for my house. Like, she just happened to go out to Walmart and she brought it home. It's not like I told her to do it. I wasn't with her. She's like, "Look, honey, look what I got." And I was like, "Oh my God." And she bought me a box of hot chocolate. She goes, "So now when I'm here, we can have coffee." But she goes, "But now you can have hot chocolate when I'm not here." And I'm like, because she would do things like that, because I don't want to paint her as some bad person. She's awesome. I love her. But we just kept butting heads about a lot of different things. So she surprised me with a Keurig. And then I sent her clothes and a really nice note and a book. And I got back, "Hey, thanks for sending those. You need to send my coffee pot, please." I don't know why the women in my life completely need their appliances back. I don't know. So she wants her coffee pot back. And then she thinks that I should give her all the money for San Francisco because I canceled. And I didn't. I answered her email. And I wrote, because I also forgot to send her house key. Because her house key was on my key ring. So I sent it back. And, all right, I sent a note back and I just said, "All right, I apologize about your house key. I forgot that it was on my key ring. It's just always been there. Do you mean the coffee pot that you bought when you were here in January? Because I thought that was a gift." And she's like, "No, I mean that coffee pot." I was like, "Fuck, all right." So that's like at the end of September or the end of February. And so I took the coffee pot and I put it in a box and I did all this stuff. And this is where the games start. Because in my head, I'm like, "Well, you know what? If you want your coffee pot back, I'm going to send you fucking everything you ever gave me. And I'm going to go ahead and give you this back. And this means something to me." And then I couldn't decide if that was petty or not petty. And so I figured, you know what? That's fucking petty. Don't do that. That's just dumb. It makes no sense because, doing that would be shitty and petty. And also, that would mean one less connection you had to her because you want her. You don't want her to go away. And this is the thing that's been going on for 3 years where you leave and you come back and you leave and you come back and you leave and you come back. And I never fully cut the cord because I didn't want her to go away. And when I say I've been sitting around for 3 months, that's not a lie. I mean, I've been sitting around from February, March, and April in my house doing nothing other than the trip to Kuwait, going to the gym, and basically going to her social media 100 times a day. Looking at her Instagram, looking at her Twitter, looking at her Facebook, and wanting every single day to reach out to her, to like a photo. I wanted to reach out. What kept me from reaching out was the fact that she was destroying me on social media. On her Twitter page, she started to like a lot of things about narcissism and toxic narcissists and why you need to flee and how they destroy your life and how they use you. And she would reply to them and she would write, "I've been so damaged. I've been in these relationships like this for 3 years and all my friends saw it but me, and now I'm finally getting free and getting right. And he's a monster and he's a terrible person and he destroyed me, and I was having unexplained pains in my neck and my stomach and my shoulder, and now they're gone. Now that he's gone, finally I can be free. I can be me." And I'm reading this every day and I still wanted her back. I every day I wanted to write her and talk to her, and it kept me close to see her social media, even if it was her fucking slagging me. That's terrible, right? Probably. But it still meant a connection. Then on her birthday, she went to Vegas. And she was in Vegas with friends and her family. And on her birthday, she sent me a Snapchat. Now, I hadn't talked to her since the phone call to say I wasn't going to San Francisco. And there hadn't been any correspondence other than send me my fucking coffee pot, you. So I saw the Snapchat had come in, and in my head I thought, oh, she really wants that coffee pot. But at the same time, I'm not going to lie to you, my heart soared. It leaped out of my chest because I saw her name with a little blue thing next to it that said she had sent me a note. Or purple. It's actually a purple thing. And I didn't open it. I don't know much about how Snapchat works, but I know somebody knows the second you open their thing, and I didn't want to open it because in my head I'm like, what am I going to do here? What am I doing? Am I getting back into this? Am I getting into this game? Am I going to reply? Am I not going to reply? What's she going to say? And then I'm like, because in my head it's like always it's a good thing. I'm like, oh, it'll be a good thing. But then I'm like, this could be a fucking terrible thing, dude. I was petrified because I didn't want it to be goodbye. I didn't know what it was. I opened it up that night and it was a photo of her in her room. And it just said, a birthday without you makes no sense. And then it disappeared in 5 seconds. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to answer her. Truthfully, I wanted to go to Vegas. I wanted to go and fly or drive. I had actually thought about it, meeting her there. I not a day goes by that I did not check airfare to Milwaukee or Las Vegas or thought about meeting her in Florida. She wound up going to Florida. And she was she was fucking 40 miles from my mom. So in my head, I'm like, I can make that work. I mean, I sat in my apartment for 3 months scheming. Should I call her? Should I not call her? But then fighting the urge because in my head I went, you know what? You got to take care of Mike. And this is not good. This is never going to change. You know it's never going to change. And then I'd want to call her. I'd want to text her. And then I'd go read her social media and I'd go, she fucking hates you, dude. She literally wrote that. She wrote, I hate him 3 times more than I ever loved him. She wrote that on Twitter. Two people. And they'd like it. They'd click a heart. They'd click a heart underneath that statement that she hates me 3 more times than she ever loved me. Someone liked that statement. She started to put stuff on Facebook, like links to narcissism, fucking toxic narcissists or monster, whatever the fuck, articles. And she'd be like, I finally escaped. I hope you can. And in my head, I'm like, man, fuck that. Like, I wasn't that. I know I wasn't, but I'll tell you what, I spent hours and hours asking myself if I was. Then I'm like, was I a bad fucking guy? Was I that bad? Was I this monster? I don't think I was. I knew I wasn't. I knew the fucking thing about the pain when she's like, I had unexplained pains. Dude, she had pains forever. From another thing that had happened in her past to the point where I had bought a special pillow so she could sleep without pain at my house. And I felt so adult when I did it. The first time she came to my house, I surprised her. I said, I bought the water pillow you have at your house. So, because you live here now. I put up her razor in the shower. You live here. This is where you live. Her toothbrush was in my thing. It still is. So she kept calling me a narcissist and kept calling me a monster. And I wondered if it was true. And I wondered if I should believe it. And I didn't know what was happening. And then 2 days later, after her birthday Snapchat, she sent me an actual text. And it said, I can't go into all of it, but I'll just tell you. Basically, it said, hey, I know you probably didn't want to hear from me, but I think I've been going to Facebook, and those on this day photos are killing me because I'm seeing everything we did on our previous birthday celebrations. And I think it's probably for the best if you delete all of your photos with me because it's tearing me apart because I want you more than anything in the world, and I love you, and I will always never stop loving you because you've been and what nice things. But also telling me that I need to delete her photos. And, well, fuck that. I mean, I'm not doing that. They're my photos too. I'm in them. You know what I mean? So, and I'm supposed to go into the back. And so, and also, you could block me. You did it before. But I don't want her to block me, and I don't want to write that to her because then she might block me and I'd lose her. Fuck. But I'm reading over and over that she thinks I'm a narcissist. She thinks I'm terrible. She thinks I'm a monster. I caused her all this pain. And then the worst part is like her friends commenting on these things. Stay strong, Jill. That dumbass doesn't know what he lost. He doesn't know. And I'm like, you people don't have any fucking clue. You don't have any idea that I literally worshipped this woman. That I literally, if I could have attached myself to the bottom of her feet like skis and let her never touch the ground, I would have. But then our heads constantly banged into one another and our pasts and everything else, and it just turned into a thing it shouldn't have turned into. So she wrote that text and I didn't answer it. I didn't know what to say, because I wanted to say, I love you. You're right. I can't delete those photos, but why don't we make more photos? Why don't we get together and take as many photos as we possibly can to make those photos go away? Let's drown those photos in a sea of other photos of us, because I love you and I don't want you to go. And then I'd read that she hated me and she was happier now than she's ever been in her life. And I wouldn't reach out. I couldn't. Because I'm like, well, why the fuck would you reach out to someone? Because that means you devalue yourself in such a way that you don't, that means look, I already devalue myself. All right. But that would mean that I was reaching out to someone who thought so little of me. And that would mean the only person who thought less of me than they did was me. And I couldn't commit to that level of self-hate. So I shined it. I didn't answer her text. I wanted to. I didn't. I kept reading her social media. And then, in the middle of April, I didn't think it was right, and I had to blink and I had to look a couple of times. But it was true. My girlfriend Jill, the beautiful Jill, reached out to my butler Karen via social media. She followed her on Twitter and then wrote her a note and said, hey, would you happen to be in the Midwest? And then like a day later, Karen followed her back. And I don't know what plans were made for the Superpower Fuck Mike Summit. And I'm only saddened because I had not sent her coffee pot back in time for them to sit down and have coffee and rice together. But what the fuck are you doing contacting my ex-wife? What the fuck? What level of weirdness does that have to bring? Are you fucking shit? What are you going to say to her? What are you going to, what are you two going to talk about? Hey, Mike's a jerk, right? Yeah, Mike's a total jerk. I remember that. Hey, remember when I stole Mike from you? That was fucking terrible, wasn't it? When he did that? Karen suffered enough, man. She suffered for 20 fucking years and then she got out. She's out. She's clean. She's Tim Robbins in fucking Shawshank, staring up at the fucking sun with all of her shit tied to her ankle, having the rain cleanse her of 20 years of shit that she crawled through to get out clean on the other side. She doesn't need you to tear the fucking scab off. I don't even know what it would accomplish. And then in my head I go, is this theater for me? Like, so I can see this, because I mean, she knew I was looking at her stuff. I talked about it on the air that I was obsessed and looking. And then I'm like, is this like a kabuki thing? So I'm going to fucking check it out and go, oh my God. Because I mean, it didn't make me nervous. Because what am I going to say? Oh my God, what are they going to talk about? What couldn't they talk about? What could they talk about that I haven't already talked about? The only thing I could think of is like, she wants the recipe for orange chicken I told her Karen had. I mean, literally, what else could it be? And to feel this way about the woman who made me confident in myself and made me happy to be naked and made me okay with my body and who I was and was with me through such growth periods. I felt such betrayal. It was so fucking bananas to see that. And I saw it and I wanted to reach out and go, what the fuck? And I wanted to like the tweet. There was all this shit I wanted to do.
You should have liked that.
Right?
Tweet. God damn it, that's funny.
But I didn't. I stayed away from it. I go, fuck you, dude. You can't do this. You can't. You got to fucking avoid this. And again, it's the same thing where I swallow everything. I don't explode. I go, you can't explode, man. You got to deal with this. You can't get involved. You can't. You just can't. I wanted to. I wanted to call her. I wanted to call her to tell her how much I loved her, let alone go, what the fuck are you doing contacting Karen? I mean, I wanted, this made me, it's had another reason for me to want to fucking talk to her. If only to find out her methods or find out her, or what her modus operandi was. I don't fucking know. I literally can't imagine what she was going to do. But Karen followed her back on Twitter, and so they could DM. I mean, maybe they talked, maybe they met, maybe they're living together. I got no fucking clue.
Living together.
It's like The Odd Couple. Like the first one is Karen leaving and then handing me a frying pan through the door. Dun, 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 dun. That request came from his wife. All right, so that request came from his butler. Fuck. So I mean, I saw that you followed Karen, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I asked people, I go, does this sound fucking weird? Like, yeah, that fucking sounds weird. That's crazy fucking weird, dude. But I still wasn't mad at her. She'd called me a fucking monster and a narcissist, and she hated me. And in my head, I'm just like, well, you know what? It was just like she would be with the guys who came sniffing around and showing them her dick or their dick. And I'd go, and she'd be like, they're just guys. I'm going to ignore it. Well, with her, I'd be like, well, I love her, and she's mad or whatever. I can ignore it. But I mean, I was taking a fucking beating, dude. I was fucking, I was LaMotta, and I was just getting banged around again, man. And I, you know who I was? Fuck that. I was, what's my name? is that Floyd Patterson who wouldn't say fucking Ali, who just said Cassius Clay and got the shit beat out of him? And he's just like, what's my name? What's my name? She's just fucking Aliing the shit out of me in the corner, and I'm taking it. I'm letting her do it because I'm like, whatever. I'm giving her, she's fine. You know, I'm sure nothing's weird about her contacting my ex-wife. Fuck bullshit. I actually went into Shannon that week and I went, why can't I get mad at this person? Why can't I get angry? And she goes, when you will, you will. I said, yeah, but I can't imagine getting to the point where I'm that fucking angry. And she's like, well, can you imagine? I go, I don't even want to think about it. I don't. Because I love her and still want her. So I gave her every fucking pass. And I wanted to reach out, but it was my fucking heart and my cock that were just like, reach out to this unbelievable person. Because I would spend time in my house romanticizing her, thinking of every good time, looking at those framed photos of me holding a foul ball with my arms around her and her face, the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And then the picture of us with my arms around her after the Rick Springfield concert in Milwaukee, and when we could go public, and just that photo. I'd stare at those photos. I had an envelope. I'd saved every single note she'd ever written me. At her house, at my house. I saved every hotel room key, every plane ticket. One time she sent me a package from her house in Milwaukee, and the return address was home. And I cut that out and I saved it. Because that was my home. So, she reached out to Karen, which was fucking bananas. And I went, well, that's fine. Because I'm dumb. And then a few days later, she wrote me on Facebook. And she wrote me a very nice and loving note. And said, you really made me laugh a lot today. I mean, the show was amazing, and it's so good to hear you free and being you. And, you know, I've always loved the show, and I hope that you're happy now. You know, I hope you're happier. You need to be happy. You need to be doing the things you wanted to do. Because I will tell you this, when we were together, she always wanted me to go do shows. She always encouraged me to go do stand-up or go do comedy or go rent theaters. And I made myself small. I made her my life. Like, I didn't want to schedule anything. I didn't want to go anywhere but to her. I wanted to be with her. I neglected stand-up, I neglected writing, I neglected everything. All I wanted to do was work till I could go to Milwaukee and be with her, and then come home and kill 3 weeks until she could come and be with me. And, you know, I would have talks, and in my head, some people would be like, why don't you just move there? And I'd go, well, you don't understand, because that would mean giving up here. And they go, well, you can do the podcast from there. And she and I would have that conversation. She goes, you know, you can podcast from here. And I go, yeah, but it's not the same. Like in LA, I'm a phone call away from something that could be anything. If I was bad at this, I would have packed it up and gone immediately. But I'm not bad at this. So there was no way I could move there. I lived there. What am I going to go do? Play the same fucking rooms I played coming up? So I couldn't do it. But I wanted to. I loved being there. I loved hiding from the world in fucking her small town, hearing a train whistle while she slept. God damn it. But I couldn't do it. So she wrote me and she's like, I'm glad that you're well and I'm glad everything's going well and I love you very much. And she goes, I love you. I will never stop loving you because you were the love of a lifetime. And I wrote her back and I said, I thank you. Because I had to write her back after that. I mean, and again, she said, I love you 5 times or whatever the fuck. And it made me feel great. But also I had some unanswered questions I wanted to get into. So I said, I love you. Or I didn't say I love you. I did not write I love you. I purposely made myself not write it, even though it's all I wanted to write. And I just wrote, hey, I thank you. I said, you know my favorite thing to do in the world was make you laugh. But I'm a bit confused about how you could write me such a nice note today when for the last 6 weeks you've been fucking destroying me on social media. Calling me a narcissist, calling me a monster, saying you're finally happy that I'm gone. There was a lot of hurt in this relationship, Jill, and it went around for both of us. And I don't understand why you're saying these things. But yes, you are loved. Absolutely. Mike. And then she replied and wrote back, and she wrote a very long, well thought out reply from her side of things. Saying, well, I do love you, and I did love you, and I don't think you're a monster, but you haven't been a very good companion for the last year. And said, you ghosted me more times than I can count, and I had a very rough February after you left, and this is my way of showing people that I'm okay. My friends worry about me, they wonder about me. Oh, and I should tell you this, before I get into this, before this happened, before she wrote me, her son had been hurt in a football game or a baseball game, and I texted him. And I said, hey, just a nice text, and I said, I hope you're okay, keep at it, and whatever, I hope you're healthy for the playoffs or something. And she wrote on her Facebook wall, she had put up a narcissist thing and people were going, stay away from this guy. He's the worst. He doesn't know what he lost, whatever. And she goes, yeah. She goes, especially when the controller now starts to bring your kids into it, starts contacting your kids and trying to, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I wrote your son a text like when he got hurt in football and we were dating, I did the same thing. I like your kids. They're nice. They liked me. I love your kids personally. And so she wrote me back because I was like, I don't know why I said, you said that I said, I won't bother Kale again, but I don't know what, or your son again. Well, I've said his name before. And she wrote me back and she's like, hey, that nice reply. And then she goes, as far as Kale, my son, thank you for reaching out. I'm glad you were concerned. But it's weird for him because he just knows you're gone. And then all of a sudden, and he sees how sad it made me. And then out of the blue, you contact me. And I understood that. That made sense. But she wrote a very long, like I said, a very long response, but it didn't answer. Like literally she never said, hey, I'm sorry, I don't think you're a monster. She does think I'm a monster. She does think I'm a narcissist. And she just went, yeah, this is my way of showing people that I'm okay. It lets my friends know that I'm all right. Well, if they know you're all right, but you talking about what a fucking monster I was, but then you're writing me to tell me you still love me. I was the love of your life, the love of a lifetime. I guess both things can be true, but I can tell you that one of them clearly is fucking not. I am not a monster, man. And believe me, I've talked enough to my therapist to go, am I a narcissist? I've read, I've taken the tests, I've done all that shit. And she's like, no, you're not. Do I have some stuff going on? Probably. There's a lot of, there's no doubt. Might be a little anxiety, might be a pinch of depression, might be a dash of fucking narcissism. Who the fuck knows what's in there? But above all, I'm me and I love you and I loved her. Fuck. So I understood her reply. I did. I got it. And I didn't answer it because it said all there needed to be said. So days go by and then she goes to Florida and she sends me a text from Florida with a video. And the text just said, this is the house I rented for my trip to Florida. And I cried walking through it because we're not here together. And then I watched the video and it's this really cute fucking video of her walking through the house and showing me this because she wants a tiny house. She's always wanted, in Denver we went and looked at tiny houses. That's her goal, is she wants to live in a tiny house. So she showed me this little beach tiny house and she's just like, oh my God, I wish you were here. It's just so beautiful and it's the beach. And that was our thing. And this is why this is such a hard time of year for me, because the beach was our thing and baseball was our thing and the hockey playoffs were our thing. But I'll say the same thing in the fall when football comes, because football was our thing and lying under blankets together was our thing and staring into each other's eyes was our thing. And There's a lot of things that were our thing. So she sent me that video from Florida, and I wrote her back, and I said, "Wait a minute, tiny house." I said, "Do you ever plan on going back to work or home?" And she's like, "Nope, probably not." And then I wrote her and I said, "Well, if you have four bikinis and a dress, you're fine." Because that was what I was used to tease her, or 4 dresses and a bikini, or 4 bikinis and a dress. I go, "That's all you need, 4 bikinis and a dress." That was her deal. And she's like, "That's all I packed. Miss you." She sent me a Snapchat, and it was I had not sent her a picture of me, and she sent me a picture of herself from Boston, and then I sent her a picture of me, and I just said, "Looking good, Red Sox girl," because I was softening, because she was writing me, and I wanted her back, and I knew it's the game I'd played, and I'd walked away, and I'd been that guy, and so she sent me that thing from Boston, then she sent me the thing from Florida, and then she sent me a Snapchat from Florida in the morning. She's at in her bikini on her deck. She just went, "Good morning" from Florida. And then that night I sent a photo out by my pool, our pool, and I wrote, "Good night from Valley Village, California. Hey, that's where I live." And then she wrote me back and wrote something that was very sexy that I can't say, along the lines of her remembering that pool and why. And I wanted to write back, "Well, if you come here, we'll do that again," and everything. But I didn't. I fought it. But I was softening by sending photos. I was softening by answering her, and because I wanted to soften, because I wanted to see her, because I wanted to be with her. And I'll tell you what, I dreamed up all these fucking things where I'm like, well, maybe it'll be different. Maybe it doesn't have to be the same thing. Maybe we won't collide and we won't get in each other's way. And then I started to think to myself, well, what if I wrote her, hey, like a weird cryptic thing, like, meet me in Cincinnati in May, and gave her the dates. Literally. There was a specific trip. I plotted out with money. I looked at tickets from her house and tickets from my house. And in my head, I wrote, I was going to say, meet me in Philadelphia in July, because I'm going to Philadelphia in July. I don't have a show scheduled or anything yet, but they're having 2 nights, the Phillies. One night they're having an 80s night, and the 1980 championship team will be there. And then the next night is Mike Schmidt bobblehead night. I'm going to both games. I'm going to the city, and she would love that. We went to Philly. Dude, she bought 2 fucking custom Mike Schmidt jerseys. Phillies jerseys, official jerseys.
How awkward is that?
They're exactly. Well, dude, how awkward's the tattoo? She's got 2 jerseys with my name on it. She's got a tattoo that means a lot to both of us. But she could just fucking color it in, I'm sure.
I have a tattoo on my back from my first marriage.
There you go. So, but I literally was going to be like, meet me in Philadelphia. I'm just going to write that to her. Just meet me in Philadelphia these dates. And if she said yes or went or what, I was, because I wanted her. I couldn't think about not being with her. I thought of it every day. I checked her social media. And then she'd post from Florida. She posted a photo on Instagram from Florida with her in a bikini and leaning on a guy that she knows from Wisconsin who happened to be down there, who took her on a jet ski run. And in my head, I got that same familiar feeling in my stomach where I was like, fuck. And I'm like, dude, you don't get to be fuck. You don't get to do that. You don't. So she sent me another Snapchat, and she said, hey, my flight leaves tomorrow morning from Florida. I can change it and come to California instead. And we used to do that all the time, playfully talk back and forth about that. And I wanted to say yes. That's all I wanted. I knew she was probably just saying it, but I would have said yes. And then I fought it. I go, don't. She thinks you're a monster. She thinks you're a narcissist. And the last fucking thing I want to do is show up at the airport and pick up her and Karen. So she Snapchatted me, and then I Snapchatted her back, and I sent her, we used to, because we were a long distance relationship, we used to send each other photos and risque stuff all the time. And, when she wrote me a couple of risque things, and so finally I kind of caved, and I sent her a photo of, I didn't have a shirt on. I had a shirt that was kind of like half off, and I took a picture outside. Not half off. That sounds horrible. I was like Coco and fucking Fame. No, I wore this fucking shirt, but it kind of only covers like part of, and you can see my chest. Whatever the fuck, who cares? You take photos. I know how to take a sexy selfie. Ask me today.
I'm gonna go ahead and can we put that out on Facebook? Can I take one of those later?
Oh sure, yeah, I'll do that.
Tuesday.
We should get sexyselfie.com. So I took a photo up on my pool, and I'm like basically with half a shirt on and you know, giving my fucking smirk or whatever and look, and then I wrote her, and she wrote me back, and she's like, I remember wearing that shirt and nothing else. And I'm just like, you can come here now and wear this shirt with nothing else, please. Come on, let's do this. So we're Snapchatting, and she texted me, and I'm softening, and I want her so bad, and I want to make a Philadelphia date, or I wanted to just show up at her house with her coffee pot and go here. I mean, I just some excuse. I just wanted to get on a plane, and I wanted to go, and I wanted to be there, and I wanted to fucking lay next to her on the couch and be in her arms and go to bed with her, and all of those things you all want to do with everybody that you love. And then she sent me a photo last week. It was on Tuesday. It was World Penguin Day. And she sent me, because there's a photo that means a lot to us. She went to the zoo in Milwaukee, and she took a picture of two penguins holding flippers. It was astonishing. Like, it's like literally they're just standing in a cave, and they're holding their little flippers. And when it happened, she sent it to me, and I go, that's us. That will always be us. And it became our photo. One of our photos. That's not a sexy selfie, by the way, those two penguins.
Maybe it was for penguins.
Sure was. So she sent that to me, and I saw it, and then she said, in honor of today, I'm hoping that these two are still by each other's side. Which is because we were those penguins, and I interpreted that to mean she was wishing we were still by our sides together. And again, that's all I wanted to hear. And so I was softened, and so I finally caved in, and I wrote, of course they're by each other's sides. That's where they're meant to be. Because I used to say that about us. Like, we're meant to be. We're meant to be. This is it. And then I said, that's the photo that they invented World Penguin Day because of that photo. And I sent that on Wednesday. And she didn't answer it. Every time I sent her a thing on Snapchat, she took a screenshot of it. She took a screenshot of my photo. She took a screenshot of any texts I sent. And so she saved them, which made me happy. The fact that she did that made me happy, and it made me think, you know, this could work. I started to convince myself and talk myself into it again. She wants me, and I want her, and what obstacles can't you get past? I'm 50. There's love out there for me. There's been love out there for me, and I walked away from it. I got 25 years left on this fucking planet. How the fuck can you walk away from love? It's the same thing that hit me in November. And I was softening and sending her these texts, and she's taking screenshots, and every time it made me happy. And so I kept checking my Snapchat more and more, and checking, you know, Instagram. She put up photos of on Instagram. She put up a picture of us on the beach, and she just wrote, feeling nostalgic. She put up a picture. She made a collage. We went to a wedding of a listener, and in the center photo, it was the two name cards of Mike Schmidt and Joe Bublitz. And then around the rim, it was like 10 selfies of us kissing. And it made me so happy to see that photo. So Wednesday when I sent and I said, of course they're by each other's side. That's where they were meant to be. And I was softening, and I wanted to just go. I wanted to just get on a plane and go there. And just go, you know what, enough of this, man. What am I doing? And then Thursday came. She didn't answer my Snapchat, but she took a screenshot of it. And I was waiting to get another one back, maybe, hoping, you know, and hoping she would write me, hoping I get a note or something, anything, a text. Maybe she was going to reach out. And then I was like, well, maybe you should reach out. And I'm like, no, you can't, dude. She thinks you're a fucking narcissist. Like, even though she explained in the note that she didn't mean it that way, she kept saying it. She kept saying it. And kept writing on her Facebook page that she was so damaged, and I had done it to her, and I had put her through the ringer, and I had exhausted her for years. She wrote that I was using her for years. She said I used her financially. She wrote these things. She actually, and it kept me, that's what kept me from contacting her. As fucking awesome as those penguins were, all I could think of was her going, that guy's a monster. He's terrible. He used me. and telling her friends that and putting it in public. Fuck her friends. I don't give a shit. I don't know if they like me or don't like me anyway. But she put it on fucking social media and shit. And, you know, there's a lot of people who listen to this fucking show who became her fucking friend because of this show. And not even really become friends, but they became Facebook friends with her. So they're seeing all that shit. By the way, those are the people who are not asking me what's going on with Jill. I can tell you that. Those are the people who pretty much figured it out. So Thursday comes, I don't get a Snapchat, and I'm just still sitting in my house, and I'm in a fucking rut. I go to the gym, I go do some cardio. I come home, and I'm just staring at the TV at food shows. And I go, well, you know what? You know, it's time to look at her social media. Why not? Bing bong. And I go look at her fucking Instagram, and I look at her Snapchat, and then I look at her Twitter, and then I go to her Facebook page, and I roll it up. And listen, I'd love to get all sad or sappy and tell you guys that everything's fine, or I'd love to go, well, you know, my heart was broken, and I never knew if I'd recover, and maybe that's true. But I was softening, and I wanted to reach out, and I wanted to go to her. I'm just being honest. I was in love with her, and whether it was codependency or real love, I can't fucking answer that question. I have a fucking opinion. But I know that I wanted her more than anything in the fucking world because I've wanted her since the moment I fucking saw her. And then I go to her page on Facebook, and I scroll up, and there's a photo of Jill with her new boyfriend. And she writes, I spent last week in Florida and so honored to spend his first week of vacation here in my hometown together. And then she writes something like, he's special and it's great when special things happen and after you've been looking and lost for so long or whatever. I don't fucking, whatever Hallmark greeting card bullshit she put on this fucking thing got lost in translation when I fucking saw who it was in the fucking photo. Now, I thought when she left me, and I actually consoled myself with this thought. In my head, I said to myself, well, you know what? You just lost me. You lost fucking greatness. You lost a guy who's funny and smart and would have held you and protected you in a nuclear blast or a fucking gunfight or a knife fight or in all of the good things. I would have been there for you and guarded you from the ends of the fucking, whatever the fuck. I would have been there for you. I would have held you and been with you and done everything you wanted, but I walked away. So I don't get to be upset about a fucking boyfriend. But in my head, when she left and when I left and she distanced herself from me, I thought to myself, well, you know what? Good for you. You're now sentenced to a lifetime of Wisconsin dullards. Fuck that. You want to be with guys because they have choppers and they misspell shit on their fucking social media pages and they like Trump? Good. Settle for that. Instead, I see her sitting there. Good dudes, I can't even fucking sugarcoat it. I can't make it cute. I can't even make it funny. Dudes, she's fucking a guy I went to high school with. She is fucking a guy I went to high school with. Dudes, literally the only thing that would have felt worse was if she was fucking Lenny. Like that's the only thing I could fucking think of. Yeah. And I don't know if she didn't call him. Look, I walked, and I don't get to tell you who to like or who to love or what the fuck, but dude, a guy I went to high school with? Are you fucking kidding me? Now let's unpack this shit, okay? This is a dude I knew in school. And I haven't seen him in 30 years, but he became my friend on Facebook. And by proxy, he then became and reached out her friend on Facebook. Now, I've been looking at her social media, and he'd been progressively liking her photos. And I'm like, well, whatever the fuck, who's this guy, whatever he's doing. And then he started to write on her Instagram, and her photos, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm like, all right, well, he's just, because look, I'm used to guys sniffing around her. I got personal friends who would write beautiful or yowza or wow on her photos. And I go, hey, I'd want to buttonhole him and just grab him by the elbow and go, what the fuck do you think you're doing, motherfucker? You got a wife, man? Stay away from my girl. Quit sniffing around. And you know what? I got fucking weird about it because there were so many guys doing it. I didn't need guys I knew fucking doing it, even though she was beautiful and she needed to hear those compliments. But fuck, I got so tired of fending everybody off. The only reason she knows this guy is he was on Facebook. There's no other way she could know him. I went to high school with this dude. I can't say his name. I won't say his name, but like...
Pictures on her page.
Well, yeah, go look at her Facebook. Go look at her and Jeff having a good time sitting on a fucking page. Look at the gorgeous, unbelievably beautiful smile on her face and look at him just staring. And I'm in my head, I'm like, what? How? Dude. And then she writes on her page that they've been together a month.
Wow, she's been texting him.
A month.
Oh my God.
A month. So I go to his page and there's nothing on it from him or for her. I scroll down. He put up a fishing video like a month ago. And underneath it, so I start doing the math because again, I'm a fucking psychopath. And underneath it, she wrote, "Can we go on a fishing trip together while I'm out there?" And this is from over a month and a half ago, like a month ago. It might have been middle of April, a month ago. Half a month ago, whatever the fuck. But in my head, I was like, so, all right, so you've been planning this with him or whatever, you've been together, because they've been together a month. In the middle of April, she's like, "Can we go on a fishing excursion together?" And I'm just like, so I go back to her page and I remember she was asking about going to Thailand. She's like, "Hey, somebody asked me to go to Thailand this fall." She goes, "Oh my God, I'm traveling all over. I'm going to Nashville in a couple of months. I'm going to Florida. I'm so excited." And then her friend was like, "Hey, I want to go to Nashville with you." And she goes, "Great, just let me know." And then a few days later or weeks later, her friend goes, "Hey, what's up with Nashville?" She goes, "It changed to Denver. Call me and I'll let you know tomorrow." He lives in Denver. That's from 3 weeks ago. So she met him on Facebook. Because again, there's no other way she did not physically meet this guy. She met him on Facebook. And now he's sleeping in my bed in fucking Wisconsin. That's not my bed, fuck. It wasn't even our bed. It was her bed with her fucking previous husband. She got it in the fucking divorce. She's fucking a guy I met in high school. I don't even think we should name this show. We just put a picture of my gobsmacked fucking face up with it. And I will not lie. I started to shake in my house because I'd been softening and hoping and Snapchatting and wondering and thinking and considering about going back. And I reached out to you and I reached out to fucking Dave and Dave, he's just like, "What? So what?" I go, "Dude, no, so what? Fuck. This is ridiculous." I go, "I know I'm broken up with her, but I'm," and he goes, "Well, are you or aren't you?" And I go, "Not really. In my heart, I'm not, but I am. I walked the fuck away." And he's like, "So what? Then why do you care?" I go, "Because I fucking care. But dude, I'm not looking for that shit right now. Can you just agree that she's fucking a guy we knew in high school and it's fucking bananas?" I mean, that's some crazy fucking outrageous shit. Because that means she had to seek him out or he sought her out. And then, I will tell you this again, I courted her for a year. I courted her for over a year before finally consummating or whatever. And I'm making a lot of assumptions here. I get it. But there's no way he flew to her house for a week to what? Sleep in the hotel like me? No fucking way. And I'm vacillating between, well, you walked away. You shouldn't be mad about this. And fuck you. This is a fucking guided missile right at my heart. Look, and maybe this is the tiny bit of narcissist inside me coming out. I will never believe this isn't about me. I talked to Mex and he goes, "This isn't about you. Maybe she likes Jeff." I go, "Maybe she does fucking like Jeff. But the only reason she started talking to him is because he was my fucking friend on Facebook. There's no other way." Because again, I got to be honest with you. She's got a goddamn Wheel of Fortune spinning wheel of men she could have gone to. When we split up in September, she started dating a guy. She went out with him. She told me, she goes, "No, I went out with him." Get this. She went out with him once. She goes, "I went out with him once. And it just wasn't for me." And I told him, "Nah." Well, then she comes out here to visit me in January. He's texting her. "Hey, are we seeing the Packer game this weekend?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking to this guy for?" "Oh, he's just a friend." "Oh, okay. He's just a good friend who you went out with once while we were broken up. And now you're showing me his text to make sure that I fucking see it." Look, I can't stress this enough. She's fucking a guy I went to high school with. Dating, courting. Well, I'm sure I'm using the wrong word. But there's no way she's not fucking him. And even if she isn't, it doesn't matter. Because seeing him with his arm around her waist, my position, that thing behind her with my arm around her, it doesn't matter. They've now done everything they could ever possibly do in my head. And I went to, I'll be truly honest with you. I was angry and I was sad. This is truth. Because I called Dave and he was just like, and he started laughing and I literally screamed, "Don't laugh at me." And he hung up on me.
Well, he's not laughing at you. He's laughing
It doesn't matter. In the moment, I was lost, man. I was fucking bananas.
No.
And then he tells me, he's like, "Hey, man, if you're just looking for like an attaboy and to tell you everything's okay, I'm not that guy." I'm like, "Well, fuck. Why did I call you? You're only my close friend of 35 years. I thought I'd call you." But also, he's burned out on this fucking topic. He's the guy. He was with me once when one of the worst fucking things happened. And then we talked for 3 hours and he's like, "You got to get the fuck out of this." That was 2 years ago. So he's lived it. He's like, "Get the fuck out, man." And I wouldn't. I still didn't. She's calling me a narcissist and fucking dating my ex-wife. And I was like, okay, maybe we can make this work. Maybe if I stuff my ego further down toward my fucking knee or ankle, I can get away with this shit. And then she decided to fuck a guy from my high school. A guy I grew up with. And I won't lie to you. This is totally true. I'm going to be honest with you. Full disclosure. I still have a lot of problems with masculinity and being a man. I still have a lot of problems with being me and because I speak for a living. I don't build things. I'm not rugged. I'm not rough. I'm coarse, but I'm not rugged and rough. I'm not tough. I'm not any of those fucking things. So you overcompensate with bluster sometimes and you're willing to get involved in a fucking scrap and hit people and just fucking keep getting hit and you don't fucking care. And I like doing that sometimes, but I've tried to stop. And I went to therapy 3 years ago and I've quelled my rage. I haven't hit anything in anger in fucking years. I think the last time was when I hit my head into the fucking window at the bank. I told you guys about it and I stopped. I haven't done that shit, man. And Shannon has even said, she goes, "You're so different from the moment you walked in here. You don't vibrate. You're not angry. You're not that guy." And I'm trying not to be that guy. But also I confuse that for losing my masculinity. And I felt that way when I was going by her. Because I told you I would wear slippers at her house and I would rush to meet her at the door. And I felt like less than. I felt like a pussy. And it wasn't right, but I did. And then when I had to fend off all these, and then she'd see these dudes and she'd hang out with them and I'd be like, fuck, what am I? So then I started like reading, and this is totally true. I started reading up on like cuck philosophy, cuckolds, and I'm like, am I that? Am I letting her do that to me? And I'm like, no, that's not true because I don't want her to do it and she's not really fucking anybody, so what the fuck? But this instance bangs me right in the fucking masculinity. Jeff is, as far as I know, Jeff seems to be a decent guy. I knew him in high school. I wouldn't know a fucking thing about him now. I will tell you, I went out with my brother this weekend and my brother is good friends with Jeff. So I was talking to Lenny about what was going on, and he was telling me about his fucking situation because he's also dealt with this kind of thing. Not with this kind of thing. Nobody in the world has dealt with this kind of thing, but he's dealt with some shit. And he told me, he's like, I go, "Isn't there some sort of weird guy code where Jeff should have called me or contacted me? Like, does that exist?" And he's just like, "Nope." He's like, "No, man." And in my head I was like, because in my head I kind of went, yeah, pussy's pussy. I mean, I guess that's that, even though I don't think of her in those terms, but I'm thinking of in general more broad terms. But I went, but he knows we've been in a relationship for 4 years. Like it just seems, even though I haven't talked to him in 30 years, it seems like I'd get a note.
What seems very odd, to say the least.
Well, he says to me, so he's like, "Nah," he goes, "He doesn't owe you anything." He goes, "I will say I'm surprised he didn't call me." He goes, "Because I just saw him last month at Tatter's funeral, and we went out to dinner, and
Did
look,
your name come up?
when they went out,
Yeah.
I don't know, I have no idea, but but again, that
Yeah.
Jeff's
How's that relationship with that girl he's dating going?
no kidding, and I mean, look, Jeff's a cop, okay, and he was a Marine, and so that hits me right in the place of like, I am I tough enough?
He's a man.
Am I not rough enough? Was I not that? You know what I mean? I talk for a living. I'm a fucking comedian. So maybe I'm not like a tough guy or a badass or whatever. I don't know. So that, because again, I immediately go, is this about me? This is not about me.
No. No.
Again, I know for a fact that she's got a fucking Rolodex of dudes she could have called and maybe did. But I was softening. And I wanted to be with her, and I wanted to go, and we were talking. She was writing me. We were penguins. We were fucking penguins the day before this. She took a screenshot of it, so she's keeping those. She kept the photos of me from the pool. She wrote me. I remember what we did in that pool. I mean, she wrote me sex stuff. And then you're fucking a guy I went to high school with?
We all do weird shit.
I was mad. I was sad. I was angry. I was humiliated. Absolutely.
But it's not about you.
You say it's not about me, but it doesn't fucking matter because everything's about me.
Well, and I'm sure Shannon has talked with you. In the big picture of life, yes, everything is about you. But in the bigger picture of life, we all intersect in different ways. Now, I can tell you that, the last person I would probably start dating would be someone I met through my ex that he went to high school with. But I also...
Well, now I'm trying to do the fucking math on it, right? If they've been together for a month...
That's the thing is, that's...
I don't care. I know. Well, that's what's killed me over the last fucking
that's
year.
The part that you just kind of go, well...
But that's what I do is I do the fucking math on it. And honestly, in my head, I think because I'm like, all right, if she's been seeing him for a month, they've been together for a month, and I don't even know what together means. Together, Facebook together? But then in my head, I thought to myself, you know what, man? She fucking met me on Facebook. She met me through this show. And so she meets him and they're having a relationship on Facebook. Like, she doesn't know that guy, but wound up having, and again, I waited a fucking year. He's there in a month.
Well, you don't know.
Doesn't matter.
But you don't know. Maybe
Doesn't fucking matter.
Maybe they've been exchanging texts for a year.
That's the last thing too. So then in my head, I went to that. And I thought to myself, is that what's happening? Because again, I knew for a fact she was texting with these other dudes, and she would always go, they're just my friends, and she'd get stuff on Facebook, and she'd go, they're my friends, you don't know them. And I'd go, well, they're basically making it clear they want to fuck you. She had a guy who was an ex-boyfriend, who then, like, he would hang out with her all the fucking time. And then when I came in the picture, he was like, he told her, I love you, I don't want you to be with Mike. And she basically went, I'm going with Mike. And so then he stopped being her friend. And I told her, I go, yeah, that guy's in love with you. She's like, I don't think so. And I'm like, fuck. And then she became his friend again. She told me, she's like, yeah, I'm just going to hang out with him now. I'm like, what? Why? But again, that was the shit I would swallow it. And I'd go, all right, fine. All right, fuck. But then I get mad about something else. And she'd go, oh my God, I can't. And I go, well, I'm mad about 10 other things. She's fucking a guy I went to high school with.
Sorry for laughing. I'm so sorry.
I don't blame you.
It's just absurd.
Because I'll be truly honest with you.
Truly absurd.
Literally, again, I was angry. I was sad. I was humiliated. I didn't know what to do. In my head, I thought about it. I called you and I was freaking out. And there's enough of me, but the now me, the me right now today, was humiliated and sad, and was like, holy fuck. Like, this is because again, it also gets into weird. He was class of 83. So it's like my girl got taken by an upperclassman. I know that sounds fucking weird, but I couldn't shake that feeling. That's what was going through my fucking mind. And, but like I said, I'll be truly honest with you. I get angry, sad, humiliated, but there was also part of me that was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're laughing now. That's why I'm saying I don't blame you. I started to laugh eventually where I went, because part of me went, this is fucking pathetic. Like, this is like the halest of all Hail fucking Marys. Are you kidding me? But again, that's making it about me. Like, she wants my attention, and maybe, I don't know, maybe within a month of text correspondences where Jeff misspelled words and left punctuation off, they fell in love. I don't know.
Wow.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
She's
She's
She's fucking a guy I went to high school with. Holy Moses, great googly moogly, holy macaroni, good golly Miss Molly, all of it you want to say, it makes no sense. None. And again, I walked away, so maybe I deserve this shit, but holy fuck. You will never convince me this isn't about me. Mech said it, I don't care. Because I'll tell you what, you agree with me, right? This is outrageous and weird and it's about me.
I don't know if it's about you.
Okay.
But I certainly know it's fucking weird.
Well, here's where the humiliation and the weirdness even kicks in. You know, on the photo, she gets 1 million likes. And again, all of her friends are like, oh my God, Jill, who's this handsome man? Oh, I'm so happy you're happy. You're the happiest ever. I can't believe you're so fucking happy. And on the fucking likes on the photo, there's like a third of them are people I went to high school with. I haven't talked to Ron Moy since 1983, yet Ron Moy likes that photo. Tom Weiseglad knows my brother. They were in the Hammer King contest. That guy likes that photo. It doesn't fucking matter. You can make it any way you want. Then, okay, fine. So I see those guys liking this photo, and because they don't know the history, they don't know the back of it. I get it. Fine. You know who does know the history of it? You know who does know the backstory of it? My friends.
Yeah.
And I wake up in the morning, and the texts start coming. My buddy Mark texts me, and he's like, he just writes, Jill and Jeff Barron, what a tangled web. I said, I won't lie, it was a massive kick in the gut. And he's like, seems like it'd be a little lower than that. I said, right? I mean, it doesn't, I go, honestly, I can't explain it. It makes zero sense to me. I said, I could talk about this for years, Mark, and I already have. And he writes me back and he's just like, he gave me everything Mex didn't. Let's put it that way. Yeah. He's just like, to date a high school guy you know and to tag him in it and talk about how special he is, so all your listeners and all your combined people can see, that's fucked. I've never been more furious with someone I've never met in my whole life. My buddy Jimmy calls me at 2 a.m. He's like, Schmitty. And I go, yeah. And he goes, you okay? I go, why? What's up? And he goes, oh, I just saw that picture. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fucking ridiculous, right? And he goes, I don't believe it. I can't believe it. Fuck. And I go, no kidding. And he goes, well, I learned from Mark because Mark texted me and he's like, did you see fucking Jill's dating Jeff? And I was like, nope, what? I thought he was joking. That's Jimmy O. That's my friend.
This is just absurd.
Jimmy O sounds like my glory hole guy. Hey, fuck you.
Did you after him maybe?
Oh yeah, possibly. But Jimmy's just like, it literally, because all of my friends are just like, that's fucked. And then they go, why? And I go, I don't know. Maximum body count? Like I can't even figure it out. That's the only, because I mean, look, I'm sure Jeff's a sweet guy, but there's a lot of fish in the sea. You probably don't want to fuck the one I had in my bowl for fucking 4 years. Or maybe you do.
So weird. Bite the tongue.
Literally, so then I go to Shannon and I'm like, and I told her, I go, hey, so I had a good week last week. I ate clean all week. I didn't have any candy, which was believe me, that was a fucking chore after Thursday. I wanted to dive into a fucking swimming pool of Hershey bars, and I held off because I felt good. I'm feeling good now. I've lost like 8 pounds, and I'm just working out fucking like a monster. I'm going to cardio and running and lifting, getting back to life. And I went out and left and went out, and then I drove over the weekend. But I went to Shannon. I told her all that. I go, here's the good stuff. I go, I did this, and then I go, that thing we talk about. Usually when I'm here, I'm going to talk about it now. So I told her, I go, we were texting, we were snapping. I told her everything I just told you guys. And then I went and I scrolled down and she put up a picture of her and her new boyfriend. And I leaned forward and I put my hands on the coffee table between us. And I just went, she's fucking a guy I went to high school with. and my therapist went, that's outrageous. I said, good, it is, right? I go, that's all I want. That's all I'm looking for from people is that this is crazy. I go, she's known him a month. They've been together a month or whatever the fuck. I don't even know. Maybe, and she might have known him for longer than a month. But what's funny about that, if they've been together for a month by the math, that means from the beginning of April. So I left at the end of February. So maybe they courted through March. I don't fucking know. But even so, I got a Snapchat from her on her birthday going, I miss you. And I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. All I know is if you were to go, hey, what's the maximum damage I can do to one person with one move? That would be it. So I guess good for her. You won? You won fuck you poker? I still got clothes over there. I wonder if he fits in them. Maybe I had him wear my jacket. I don't fucking know. I mean, I have been sitting in my house for months, and look, I walked away. I own it. I own it. I opened the door for this to happen. Doesn't matter. I opened the door for this to happen. It would have been somebody. I opened the door for that. But that's what the realizations I've come to over the past few days. This was a big one, and I wrestled with it for years. She would always tell me that I was keeping her down. I was keeping her from going out. Like she goes, I don't want to go out anymore. I just want to stay in my house. But then she'd say, well, you get mad if I go out. And I go, no, I don't. You can go do whatever you want, but just text me where you're going. Text me when you're there. Text me when you get home. That's all I asked. And tell me who you're with. I did not think that was out of line. Particularly with the fact that every fucking guy wanted her. Every guy did. She can pretend that it didn't happen. Or she convinced me that every single guy she ran into wanted her. I saw texts. I saw Facebook messages. But every time she would tell me about a man, it was that the man would not leave her alone or was talking to her and just was a creep or was creepy and was now coming to her house or knocking on the door, all this shit. And then so then I would go, well, then why do you wonder why I'm so freaked out about this kind of shit? And then she'd go, well, yeah, they're just my friends. You got to lay off. And I'm like, why do I got to lay off? You tell me. Literally, last time she was here, she showed me a text from a guy she dated when we were broken up in September. She said, oh, we only went out once. And then I told him it wasn't going to work. But 3 months later, he's texting you to go watch the Packer game? The fuck out of here. So I have wrestled and wrestled and wrestled with one thing more than anything. Was I wrong to worry about all of that stuff? Because it put me in a spin. Was I wrong to worry when she'd go out for 8 hours and not answer my text, and then in the morning get mad at me for not texting in the morning? Was I wrong when she went out to a show once and I texted her asking her if she was there and she didn't answer me, and then that night she texted me at 4 a.m. yelling at me and screaming at me? And then I found out later that the guys from that show were out until 4 a.m. at a place in her hometown. And then she had written on their Facebook page, such fun at that place. And I said, did you go with them? And she said, no.
Ooh.
And I said, well, why would you write something like that? And she goes, well, I just, because I heard they had fun. And when I said, well, you saw my text, right? You were there. And she goes, yeah, but there were no phones allowed in the showroom site. I go, but you didn't answer me even when you left. You didn't send me a text till 4 a.m. And the text you sent me at 4 a.m. was to tell me what a dick I was for not coming to your house. And she'd go, yeah, no, nothing. I went home, went to sleep. I wrestled with this shit all the time. Am I wrong for worrying and wondering about this? And the fact that she's dating a guy that she probably knows 2 months, maybe a month, and they've never physically met, but they only dated through Facebook, and now he's at her house for a week. I wasn't fucking wrong. Not at all. Not at fucking all. Because I'll tell you what, even if they've had a long-term texting relationship, well, that shit was going on while I was in the picture. So either the answer is she decided to start dating him from March to April. So they courted through March and then dated in April. Or he was in the picture before then because I left at the end of February. So if they've been carrying on a long relationship of talking and texting, I was there. And that's, and by the way, this is still me telling the story, not her ex-husband telling the same story about me. I sat in my house for weeks, months, not even kidding, months, thinking about her every moment, staring at those photos, me holding a foul ball and holding her more close, me holding her in the dress I bought for her. Happier than literally the happiest moment of my life. I will not lie. The happiest moment of my life was at the bar when she said, post that picture. And I did. And I got to tell all of you that she was mine. I pulled out every note she wrote me. I read them. For the last 3 months, I would read her telling me she missed me and telling me she couldn't wait to come home. There's a grease board in my house, and it's in my kitchen. And she wrote on it, "I love you. I will miss you." And it was dated May of 2016. I never erased it. Even when I left in September, even when I left in February, I looked at it every single day, and it made me happy. Because I knew she loved me, and I knew she would miss me. But now that she's fucking a guy I met in high school, I'm not sure of either one anymore. So after I freaked out on Thursday night and saw the picture, I blocked her immediately on all social media on Friday. I blocked her on Twitter, Facebook, Snapgram, Snapchat, Instagram. I should tell you this too. She, when I did the Patreon page, she was the first person to donate. And she donated at the level where she'd get a painting of me and her. And I called Dave. I'm like, "Hey, you got a painting to do." He's like, "Oh, cool." I said, "Well, hold your horses." And we laughed and laughed. And then when she wrote me on Facebook, she said, "I'm donating to your Patreon page because I love you and I support your show. And I've always loved what you've done. You were always funny, and I don't want any rewards. I don't want any paintings or drawings. I don't want any of it. I just want you to know that I support you and the show. Because you need to be doing the thing you're best at. You need to live your dream." But my dream was to do those things with her at my side. So I blocked her on Snapchat and Twitter and everything. And then I blocked her on Patreon and refunded her money. Because I don't want it. I never wanted it. I wasn't going to take it anyway. When she wrote to me, the picture really had nothing to do with it. I was just being lazy, and I knew that blocking her on Patreon and giving her money back would cause a problem and would mean that we might not get back together. When I saw the photo, I knew that wasn't a possibility, so I just gave her her money back. But I wasn't taking her money anyway because she had just written for 6 weeks that I was using her financially for years. Why the fuck do I want your $50 a month? I sat in my house and I read every note. I read every fucking card. And then Friday, I packed all of her shit. And look, I was wondering what would be petty and what wouldn't be petty to send back, and I thought about it a long time, and finally I just sent back what I thought I should send back. So I sent her fucking coffee pot that she desperately needed to have. I sent her my leftover hot chocolate because what the fuck am I going to do with Keurig cups of hot chocolate? I sent her it's called a noodle that I bought for her. She has neck pain. So I bought her you refrigerate it, freeze it, and it's got beads in it, and you put it around your neck and you can heat it up. I bought it for her so when she came home, she could have it. I took both of those photos off the table. I wrapped them up in clothes that she bought for me. She bought me Blackhawks hoodies. I wrapped them up so they'd be safe. Put them in the box. And I was going to write a note. And I was going to say hi to Jeff, I wanted to be pithy, and I wanted to be snarky, and I wanted to be mean, and I wanted it to hurt. And then I went, why? Dude, why? So I took her house key, and I put it in an envelope, and I sealed it, and I put it in the box. And then I took my envelope with every hotel room key, every plane ticket, every note, every photograph that she gave me, and I put it in the box. More for me than for her. Because I can't throw that stuff away. She wants to, she can. And I know that's chicken shit. It's the same reason I didn't say I break up with you, because that would be hard. I'm not good at hard. So, I boxed them both up and spent $80 and sent it back to her. Said, fuck it. Take your life. Take our life. I had an epiphany a couple of months ago. I was sitting in my house, again, staring and looking and watching and wishing everything was different, wanting to call her. And every time I tried to do it, I'd fight myself and go, don't. So it was weird. It was a Saturday night, and I don't even know why I did it. I put on VH1 Classic, which is now MTV Classic, because it was 80s block. And it was 3 hours of 80s. And I watched it, and I thought of her the whole time, because I thought of her all the time anyway. But it was actually poignant to do so during this, because one of the things we used to talk about all the time was how we were sad we didn't get to grow up together. How it meant a lot to us to be together now and to be able to do the things that we should have been able to do our whole lives together. She would joke that if she knew I was in Chicago, she would have just come there in high school and stayed. She would tell me she sunbathed nude on her parents' deck, and I'd say, well, man, I would come over to your house, and I'd fucking climb the fence. She said, you wouldn't have to climb the fence. I would have let you in. I took her to see Ghostbusters here. I mean, she hadn't seen a lot of movies. I was excited to watch these movies with her. I was excited to experience life with her. One time we were on the beach and a song came on by Marillion called Kaylee. It's a phenomenal song, phenomenal album. And I heard it and I started to cry on the beach. And she said, well, are you okay, honey? And I said, yeah. I said, hearing this song makes me wish I had heard it with you when it came out. And that's powerful stuff, that I wanted to be young with her. And I was trying to relive all of that with her now. I was watching that 80s block and a video came on by Force MDs, a song called Tender Love. That's a song that ever since it came out, I've been waiting to make out with a girl to it. Sitting on a couch in the dark, listening to that song and hands fumbling. And on that trip where I went to her house and I visited her friends at the picnic and saw everybody when we were still on the down low. I had given her a hotel room key so she could let herself in. I loved that. God, I loved that. It was I just wanted to be hers. So I gave her that so she could let herself in and out of the room. And I woke up. She woke me up one time. She came in and got me up and we talked and whatever. We did whatever. And then I grabbed a shower. And I got out of the shower and I was playing music on the laptop and that song started to play. And I looked at her and I said, oh my God, come here. And she said, what? I said, sit here, come here. And she sat next to me in the bed. I said, for 30 years, I've been waiting to make out with my girl to this song. And she said, what do you mean? I said, it's a make-out song. It just is. And I've known that my entire life, and I've never had the opportunity to make out with my girl to this song. So we're going to do this for the next 4 minutes. And she didn't need an excuse to make out with me, so we did. I was in a towel. She was still in her winter coat. And we made out on the bed to that fucking song. And when I was watching the 80s block, that video came on. And forget it. That wiped me out. Not that I had far to go. I was wiped out a lot. I watched those videos and a video came on for Waiting for a Girl Like You by Foreigner. I think I've talked about this on the show before. That song meant nothing to me. My whole life. Just background music. And then one time she and I were in a hotel room in Chicago. And I had my laptop on, playing music. All the lights are out. She's on top of me. And songs are changing. I'm not even paying attention. And obviously not, because I'm fucking locked into her eyes with her hair hanging in mine. She's on top of me. And my hands on her hips. And we finish. And we're just panting and sweating. She's shaking her legs. She can't move her legs. And I'm holding her hips, and she's on top of me, and she's just laying there. And that song, Waiting for a Girl Like You, comes on. That ethereal opening with the keyboard and into the drums. And I told you in 30 years that song meant nothing to me. And in that moment, seeing her bathed in the light of the laptop, her cheeks flushed red, her hair sweaty, her naked body on top of mine shaking. She can't move her legs. She's panting. That song means everything to me now. It's that moment. Every time it comes on the radio, that video. It's always that moment where I want to live forever. And I thought about it, and I watched videos for hours. And I realized, like I said, every time I thought of her, and it dawned on me that Jill was my first girlfriend. I had a wife. And I dated other people, but they were mainly married people or long-distance hookups. But Jill, at 45, Jill was my first girlfriend, like you would have in school. I made her mix tapes. I one time when she left my house, I gave her my iPod and just filled it with metal because she liked 80s metal. So I said, here you go. I gave her all of my metal. I gave her my iPod. I communicated to her through song lyrics. And letting her go would mean letting go of not just my first girlfriend, but maybe my youth. And maybe my hope of being happy as I got older. And maybe that's why I could overlook her reaching out to Karen, and why I could overlook other things and hope she could overlook mine. Because again, I'm not innocent in this. I mean, I got my own fucking bag of garbage that I bring to everything. But I've done really well in trying to fix it and change it. I really have. And I'm proud of myself. And I tried to be everything I could be for her. In the beginning, like I said, I looked at her and I said, tell me what you want me to be. Tell me how to be. Tell me who you want me to be. And for 4 years, me was fighting to get out of that. Because then I tried to be the thing I thought she wanted me to be, and she didn't want that. So, now you know. When you send me emails and you say, hey, well, what's going on, and how's this, and how's Jill, and what's going on with Jill, I never knew. I knew I loved her, and I knew I wanted her. But my head kept saying I shouldn't. And my head was right. I learned that Thursday night. I wasn't wrong. So now, we, I guess, go forward, which I've preached on this show so many times, even though I was never doing it. And we do what we can to make whatever time we have left happy. I had thoroughly convinced myself I would be with her until my last breath was out of my body. I wanted to walk the beach with her at 80 and hold her hand and see her smile. But that's gone. And the worst part of all of it is that now I got to do the hard work of trying to figure out which one of her friends is going to walk on the beach with me when I'm 80 years old and staring into the sun. Does anyone know where I can get a Grafton High yearbook from 1984? You guys can get me at MikeandMikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can follow me at Twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. Be my friend at Facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. I'm on Instagram and Snapchat at Mike40YOB. You can find our great friend Dave Hernandez on Facebook at Facebook.com/DavidMexHernandez. You can be his friend there. You can go to artbydmh.com and buy his artwork, whether it's personal stuff you want done or stuff he's done in the past. He's got available. You can find it there. He is the art and music guy, and he sings and does all the cool stuff. So please go be Dave's friend or go to artbydmh.com and spend some money there. Remember, Ryan Dirks is our web guy, Facebook.com/Ryan Dirks. Be his friend. Remember, our friend Gio Vani, superfan Gio, is doing all of our YouTube stuff. You can follow his podcast called Pod Gods, and then be his friend at Facebook.com. Look for Giovanni Giorgio Peluso. He also has his Loveline stuff, so go ahead and find that. And the producer of this show is my great friend Lily Von Stupp. You can find her at Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp and be her friend there. You can go ahead and find her at Twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp, Twitter.com/HollywoodBQFest, Twitter.com/Boobdini, and Twitter.com/MNTs. But if you'd like to write her a personal note and find out how she sat through this entire show with the worst migraine she's ever had in her life and didn't jump up and hit me with her fucking phone, and also how much her head throbbed every time he said, "She's fucking a guy I went to high school with," you can get her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com. Here I stand, head in hand, turn my face to the wall. If she's gone, I can't go on, feeling 2 foot small. Everywhere people stare, each and every day. I can see them laugh at me, and I hear them say, "Hey, you got to hide your love away. Hey, you've got to hide your love away. How can I even try? I can never win. Hearing them, seeing them in the state I'm in. How could she say to me, love will find a way? Gather round, all you clowns, let me hear you say, hey, you've got to hide your love away. Hey, you've got to hide your love away. Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 Clubs on Vine at Santa Monica. I have the producer here. Her name's Lily.
Hi.
She's the best. Look at you with your vocal fry. The show's great. Last night's show was a good show from what I understand. It was Patrick the Bank Robber's farewell to Los Angeles. Patrick's a good friend of mine who told me he'd have sushi with me before he went out of town, and then he left. All right, good for him.
Left yet. Call him and find out if
Nah.
he can do sushi.
No thanks.
Don't be a dick.
Nah. He's got so many other people to see. I certainly don't want to go ahead and force my way, wedge my way into his goodbye tour.
Hey, why don't you do this instead? Why don't you call your friend before he leaves?
Nah. All right. So last night's show was great. He did really well, from what I understand. The show was good.
That was funny.
Yeah, and you went long. It was a good show. I'm mad I didn't find out about it until like 10:30 because I went to the gym late last night, and then I was running around. Get this, I had to go to 4 different grocery stores for bananas because all I needed was one. I bought green bananas at the first grocery store at a Trader Joe's, and then I went to a John's Market, and then a Gelson's, and then a Ralph's, and because I wanted a yellow banana. All I wanted was one yellow banana to eat with my oatmeal this morning.
Always go to 7-Eleven. Theirs are always yellow.
Well, it's funny you would say that because that's the last place I went. I went to 4 grocery stores. Well, because I don't want to pay that because it's 2 for $1. At Trader Joe's, fucking bananas are 19 cents. So I went to 4 grocery stores. They were all green, and I bought some green so they'll ripen. But then I just wanted one yellow banana for my oatmeal this morning. And I went and bought, so then I went to 7-Eleven. I bought 2 for $1. I bought 2 yellow bananas.
This is the only place you can get yellow bananas. Everybody else puts them out before they're ripe. It's so weird.
It was.
You
It's
cannot find
fucking-
a banana the day of to eat unless you're at a convenience store.
And you never feel older than when you're driving around looking for ripe fruit. Like, what a fucking grandfather. How fucking terrible. Look, I got to buy ripe fruit because I might be dead before it fucking ripens. I have no idea. I'm old. So last night I left the gym and I went and I drove to 4 different grocery stores and I had a sandwich made, whatever. And then I got home at 10:30. I went on my phone and I saw that the tease when it was his last show, and I'm like, fuck. And I hadn't showered yet from the gym. I could have gotten showered and been down there by 11:30, but I'm like, well, the show's usually done by 11:30. But then you're telling me you went long and I'm pissed. But I heard it was great, and I heard it was great.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It made me so happy. It made me cry. You know, yeah.
You pussy. All right.
Look, I lost 2 male MCs this week.
Who was the second one?
Gary Shapiro passed away.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
2 people that I've known forever in burlesque that were just wonderful MCs are both, one is not with us anymore.
Yeah, Gary was only 52 and he passed away this week. Christ, I hope he didn't have any bananas.
They did a thing for him on Bill Maher.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, good. That's good news.
It was nice.
Well, it's a shame that he died.
It is.
He was a nice guy. He was a really cool guy to everybody.
He was a mensch.
Oh boy.
He was. He was a cantor.
I know.
He was a cantor, a comic,
A poet, a pirate, a pawn, and a king.
Then I lost my Patrick the Bank Robber.
Yeah, Patrick left. Look at that. All these males, all these dudes. Now you're going to have just you doing the MC work?
God, I hope not.
The country hopes so.
But it was a good show. It was an awesome show.
Terrific. Who's there next week?
I booked a troupe out of the Midwest. They all graduated high school together. They're women.
Oh. What state are they from?
I can't do it. It's just wrong. How funny would that be?
That would be interesting. So
Seriously, come on. Who
Well,
does that?
yeah.
Even at 50, who does that?
Don't know. But good for you on the long con of doing as much fucking damage as you possibly could.
What the fuck? And again, I'm no saint either.
I've done dumb shit. We've all, and look, like in the beginning of the show, and you bust my balls for trying to be fair. Look, look again, there's 2 sides of everything and all that kind of bullshit. But
you can only talk to your
exactly.
experience.
But the motherfucking exclamation point in this entire thing is she's fucking a guy I went to high school with. So guess what? Yeah.
Anyway, it's going to be a great show on Monday. There are people there. The festival's at the end of the month. Come out to California and see it.
Buy tickets. Go to brownpapertickets.com and get the tickets for that. Now, the Hollywood Burlesque Festival, as we've talked about, tickets are available at Brown Paper Tickets.
Oh my God, yes, please come to the festival.
And
4
remember,
days of amazingness.
Yes, and if you're going to do that, again, I will see you. We'll have dinner. We'll hang out, and I'll get you downloads. That's any swag you want. Would be great. So go ahead and sign up and buy some tickets and come out here to the Hollywood Burlesque Festival and have fun. And you and I can have tacos. That'll be great.
You can have them at the show.
What?
Yeah, we're going to have a taco truck at the...
Holy macaroni.
No, holy tacos.
Holy empanada. So
Holy empanada.
that's
oh my
nice.
God, I want to change my name to Holy Empanada.
There is a fish taco truck in town called Ricky's Fish Tacos, and they are I've heard they're the best fish tacos in the country. I've seen it in like a magazine. I saw it. Yes, in America. I saw it on a Food Network as well. And so I went looking for them one day because they're on Riverside. And I went looking, oh, they're on the different Riverside, like on the other side of Hollywood. I was so pissed.
I have a question for you.
Yes?
Are they one of those taco trucks that are now on every corner?
Oh, yeah, this country. Well, better put that wall up to save us from delicious fish tacos.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so that's the Monday Night Teas and the Hollywood Burlesque Festival. Tickets are available all over the place, but mainly brownpapertickets.com. And go to Hollywood, go to the Facebook Monday Night Teas page and be a person there so you can see who's coming to town.
Yes.
And then follow Lily at all of her Twitter stuff for all the information about who's coming and when. So that's fun. Go and do that. Please remember we have a sponsor for this show.
What?
Yeah, of course, it's getthebutters.com. We know them. They make bombs and balms and lubes. Bombs and butters and balms and lubes. And our friend Jerome is the proprietor of said place, and he is right now at his house. If you can listen closely, he is stomping lavender and grape for a new soap in his bathtub.
I hope not.
Oh, that's how he does it. So he's got some bleach out. He's Tyler Durdening right now. He's making soap in his house and selling it to you. Balms and butters and lubes and bombs and balms and butters and lubes.
Oh my.
So go ahead now to getthebutters.com. Use the code 40YOB. Save some money. Get some stuff. Jerome gets money. We get money. You get stuff. Everybody's happy. So please go and do that. Get yourself a nice scrub and scrub up that ass. That seemed aggressive, but that's how I feel about these scrubs. They're so scrubbalicious that you need to get them and just rub them right onto your fucking hindquarters. Yeah, that's right. Buff up your undercarriage with a sea salt scrub. So go to getthebutters.com and use the code 40YOB and save, and buy. And we'll be happy, and so will Jerome. And I guess you will be too, because you'll get a scrub of some sort. Please go to go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and go to the Joe Business page. We've got all sorts of cool stuff there for sale, as you know. Just download sets and shirts and individual shows and the Heroes CD, I should say the Heroes MP3s or whatever. And then the Word Pimp Schmitty and the Misanthropic Gangster, that's available. All that stuff is available on the Joe Business page, as well as our Amazon link, which is very important. Please use our Amazon link. It don't cost nothing. It's just a couple of clicks, and then you're in Amazon floating around buying your stuff, and then we get money, they get money, you get stuff. It's perfect. It's use our code, and everybody's happy. We're thrilled. It keeps us out of the poorhouse. I think, right? Are we in the poorhouse? This might be the poorhouse. Are we in the poorhouse? I have no idea.
Yes.
I don't know. I know I'm a block away from prostitutes, but other than that, so please go ahead and,
Always.
Of course.
LA.
I'm literally always a stone's throw.
That's the old place too.
That's true. Even when I worked, I told that story on here, Baby
They're
Blues.
everywhere.
Some fucking hooker came up to me in the parking lot of the barbecue joint. I'm like, what? And came up to me. And it was because end of the month, she would always show up for like the last 3 days of the month on the corner. It was so weird. Like you could set your fucking watch by her. And I was like, maybe you plan better at the beginning of the month. You don't have to suck guys off to make your rent. But oh well.
That's her job.
Yeah, and I guess if you only have to work 3 days a month, you're fine.
It's a job. It is a valid job. Don't
Yeah.
ever think someone's doing that for any other reason than because they want to.
All right. And you spend 3 days blowing guys, and then you spend 28 days in the shower. That's good.
No.
I would. I mean, if I had to blow guys for 3 days, I think I'm going to spend about 3 weeks in the shower, maybe 4. But that, again, that's just me. I'm that fella. Hey.
Would you use a scrub? Or
Of course. Boy, I go balm, and scrub. No lube. Hey, Schmitty. What the fuck, man? I can't believe it. This is crazy. I saw that picture. All right, so I should do a whole show as Jimmy O. That's fun. Hey, Schmitty. Just can't believe this. You know, I got called by Mark today, and he was just like, "What the fuck, man?" And I was like, "Yeah, no kidding. I better call Schmitty." It's not a bad Jimmy O. If you guys knew Jimmy O, you know it's not a bad Jimmy O. So go to getthebutters.com. Go to Joe Business on the MikeSchmidtComedy.com page and do all that cool stuff and use our Amazon link. It's very important. Please know we have a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to right now, and you could possibly write mean things to me on all of the videos if you want to. We had a guy who did that. It was funny because Superfan Geo, it's terrible. Superfan Geo put up all of the videos for year 5. And year 5 contains a show that a lot of people seem to think is when I peaked on this broadcasting industry. I peaked again today. Well, good.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God I'm consistently befallen by tragedy. I will always have things to talk about.
I can't wait to see how your next relationship ends.
Haha, as if there's going to be one. I'm 50 and nobody wants me.
That is not true.
Totally
Dating
true.
Applications? Are you going to do Tinder and stuff?
Nah, I'm old, man. And that's another thing. I'll be truly honest with you. I talked about being like in high school with Jill. Like that I was young with her because we got to travel and we got to do, literally we had sex and we ate and we went to baseball games. It was totally fun.
You're never going to be able to do that again.
Well, but I'm dealing right now with what I did do. I'm not talking about the future just yet, but I mean, we would go and we would travel and our whole relationship was about, and that's why I thought the rest of my life was going to be that escapism and that fun. And again, like I said, I always choose the thing I want rather than the thing I need or the right thing to do. Like I should have probably gone and written and done some comedy or whatever and concentrated, but it was so much fun to just be with her instead and to go, like I said, go to baseball games or football games or go to her house and just just be there with her on top of me and fucking and food and sex and all of it. It was so great. And also that's the 15-year-old boy in me. And also the 15-year-old boy in me is Jill is hot. She's just fucking drop dead, head turning fucking hot. So that also meant a lot to me because I couldn't believe that somebody like that would want to be with me. And then that's the 15-year-old in me who's like, look at this fucking, I gotta be, because it made me look better to people to know that I had a hot girl who loved me. Isn't that weird?
No, that's not weird at all. That's what you should be working on with Shannon right now.
Well, I talk about it. I mean, I'm being completely honest. I mean, and that
now
was.
That you're no longer trying to figure out how you're going to get back together, or can you get back together, all that kind of stuff.
Or coexist.
I hope that you can figure out.
Well, but
how
that was part of the, the epiphany of being my first girlfriend. You know, it's like in high school, and that's why it's so fucking ridiculous that she's fucking a guy I went to high school with. Because I dated her under the rubric of essentially we were in high school. I was reliving my youth with her, all of the 80s music. We went to see bands. We went out. I introduced her to Rick Springfield. We went to see, we were reliving my 80s. Because I never got that experience in high school. I didn't go to prom. I didn't date anybody. I didn't drive till I was out of high school. So literally this felt like I was doing it all over and doing it right. And I was doing it with the cheerleader. I had the fucking hottest cheerleader and I was going out and I'd hear songs and it would just bring me right into those spots. And but I will tell you this, one of the fucking videos that I saw that night, and it cracked me up because I was still woe is me, and I was pissed, and I was interchangeable between how sad I was and then going, how beautiful was George Michael? Jesus fucking God. Like him and Michael Hutchence. Holy Jesus Christ. They played the One Thing video with the woman eating the fig. And I mean, of course, then all I thought about is going down on Jill. And I'm like, God damn it. And then they show and then Michael Hutchence just staring. And all the other ugly dudes in NXS, like eating chicken legs. And Michael Hutchence just fucking the camera with his eyes. Dude. And then George Michael, they played Father Figure. And I'm like, how beautiful is that man? How fucking drop dead gorgeous were we lucky to look at. And then talented, both of them on top of all of it. Yep. But so I'm watching and then I was sad and those videos played and then I'm so sad. And then they played a John Cougar video for Pink Houses. And it's from a Storytellers he did at the Riviera Theater in Chicago a few years ago. And at the end, he brings a dude out of the audience to sing the last verse. And I remember sitting on the couch I'm so sad. I'm thinking of Jill and I want to be with her. I'm thinking of those videos in the 80s. And then I go, I'm watching the best moment of this guy's life. I haven't left my apartment in a month, but I'm watching this guy right now that's committed to film. This guy's greatest moment in his life was John Cougar bringing him up to sing the last verse and sing out the song with him and then high five him. And I'm like, God damn, that's perfect. What a great metaphor. I mean, that's just, I'm sitting here like at my lowest point and I'm watching that guy at his highest. I got to fucking rally here. I got to do something. And then I saw a couple like videos later, they played the video for Night Ranger. When you close your eyes, do you think about me? Which I've loved that song since I was a kid. But then in that moment, I of course, because I apply everything to Jill via math, I'm like, ah, ha, 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 ha. Yeah. When you close your eyes, you're thinking about me, aren't you? That's right, because I'm gone and we had something special, and now you're going to think about me forever. And I didn't realize she'd already been a month into thinking about a guy I went to fucking high school with. She's done thinking about me.
And by the way, it's not narcissistic to think that it's about you or to think about it from your perspective at all. It would be narcissistic if you thought she couldn't exist without you.
No, I'm fully aware that she can completely exist without me. I know that.
That's why I'm like, you're not a narcissist.
Believe me, there are thousands of hands waiting to catch her if she falls. All right? And each one of them, as you know, they got one hand out and a cock in the other hand. They're all waiting.
All right. Let's go back to
All
the
right,
fudge
fuck.
butters.
But I saw the video for When You Close Your Eyes, Do You Think About Me? I was like, God damn, yeah, that's right. And then I think Tender Love came on too late later, and my dick was right in the fucking dirt. I was like, God damn it. Sad. All right, so, but I've gotten out of my apartment now. I've actually left, and I went out driving this weekend, and I'm eating right and lifting and feeling good. And I've lost 8 pounds. And
who are you doing it for?
Me?
Yeah.
For once?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to look so good for her. I wanted to be everything for her. I'm just being honest.
It's about you now.
It is about me, but fuck Mike. So, you know.
Someone will.
Doubtful. Again, 50 years old. But that's another thing. So she's so hot, and like I had her, and I was going to have her forever, and she's so gorgeous. Because when I think of 50-year-old women, this is so stupid, not you, but when I think of other women, I think of, you know, fucking aprons and like women.
And you've got a 51 in front of you
Who's-
with her tits hanging out, a
Yes.
clown in the bedroom. Dude, she's a fucking stripper.
Yes.
We had a 60-year-old stripper the other day at our Strippers of a Certain Age show.
I know.
There are women of all types, of all ages.
But
and
I
sizes.
think of these women that are going to
We're
be.
not unicorns.
But when I think of like my age group, I think of these. They all have kids, and they're all
But
either.
they don't.
I again, it's believe me, these are the things
Some
I've
have
been.
Cats, though.
This is
Ugh.
the thing I've been thinking about for 3 months. You know what I mean? Like thinking that how much I wanted her, but also like what would I do without her? Like where would I didn't even know. But then luckily that decision was made for me when she started fucking a guy I went to high school with.
Well, you can do it. My ex-husband.
I can't say it enough. I can't yell it enough. I can't fucking think it enough. And I'm sorry. It is. I had a fucking bullseye shirt on, and like I said, tomahawk missile right in the fucking chest. There's no way that thought didn't cross her fucking mind. No way. No fucking way. There's no way just out of the blue she started talking to this guy. I mean, because on his fucking page, he's got a picture of himself on his soccer team at the high school I went to. She knows where I went to fucking school. God damn it. Go to the YouTube channel. Like I said, somebody, so one of the shows, like Gio just put up Year 5, and he put up, there's the show called Almost, which is a show that dealt with something like along the lines of what this dealt with. So it was about when Karen went away, and then I tore myself to pieces on the air in front of you guys. And for some reason, everybody loved it. The Onion loved it. All these people recommended my show off of it. And then they realized the next week I was just a guy talking about making giraffe foie gras. And they're like, fuck, we got to get out of here. Wait a minute. You mean this fucking dude isn't going to cry himself to sleep every fucking week? I'm out. So he puts it up on Facebook or on YouTube, and he announces it. He's like, all right, Almost went up in these other shows. So I get notified via, Google. It'll say, hey, you have activity on your video. And it'll be somebody going, holy shit, this is funny, or the best wrestling story ever was a buddy of ours wrote. And someone commented on it. I think it was episode 38 of Year 5. I don't even know, 42 of Year 5, whatever. So I went and looked at it. And I did, because I don't even know what it is by the number, but I know what it is by the artwork. So I go to the episode on YouTube and I see the artwork, and I knew, believe me, everybody knows from that artwork what show that was. Anybody who listens to this show. So I see it, and then I look down, I look down at the comment, and this dude wrote, fuck this guy. What a fucking mess. Man, what a fucking pussy. Can't stand listening to this. I'm like, I want to know how far along that guy got into it. Was that the first show he jumped in? Or had he listened all the way up to that point in Year 5 and went, fuck this pussy, I'm out of here. Or if that was the one he just went, you know what? On a lottery, I'm going to try this one right here because the artwork looks interesting. Oh my God, what happened to this pussy? But it made me laugh. But then it turned out unfortunately, there was a glitch in the audio. So he had to, Gio had to take it down and repost it so that comment's gone. Because I wanted that comment to stay forever. I got it in the email. I was just like, dude. So it's literally, it's a great lesson for you when you think to yourself, well, man, this was the peak of my career. Everybody loved this. The Onion loved this. Everybody recommended it and decided that this was maybe the best podcast they'd ever heard. I've heard that from some people. And then this guy's like, fuck this pussy. I hate this. The internet. So, the aristocrats. So yeah, by all means, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to listen to old shows, I'll be honest with you again. I went and found a show. It was a show that it was a show where I talked about midget wrestlers or something. And this dude wrote the best wrestling story ever. So I'm like, well, I better listen. And I listened to a half hour. Hey, look, I am the fucking greatest. All right. I mean, don't judge me on the previous fucking holy shit 3 hours. But honestly,
What?
yeah, I just looked, holy God. But don't judge me on that. But judge me on that one. Because I go back and I listen and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it was fucking hysterical. Just a story about midgets and fucking in the ring. And, I said there was a midget alarm. I said, if you can't fight one midget, because you ever fight a midget, like a siren goes off in the midget cave and 8 more midgets will pile into a car and come fight you. Dude, I'm a genius. I used to be funny. I used to be good at this. What the fuck happened? God damn it. All right. But go to YouTube. You'll find that. Go unearth a gem of your own and tell me which one you love. And I'll be like, yay. Because that's what I need is people. A girl, Katrina, today wrote me online and she's like, hey, I'm really sorry to bother you on Facebook Messenger, but I can't use email at work. And I haven't answered her back, but I'm just going to say, man, you can bother me anytime on Facebook Messenger. Nobody's bothering me. Please, you're a fan. I want to hear from you. If you're going to tell me a good thing, you're never bothering me. Fucking skywrite it. I don't care. I live on kudos. What's your face? What?
Well, you are single now.
Oh, fuck all that. Please.
Are you single on Facebook yet?
Huh?
Are you single on Facebook?
I've never been single on Facebook. I was in a relationship with Jill, but I changed that in September.
Okay.
And then when we got back together in November, I told myself I was not going to use social media because I look, as I've talked about on here many times, I kept putting up photos of us because A, she was beautiful, and B, it made me look good to be with a beautiful woman, and C, I wanted everybody to see how happy I was with a beautiful woman. But we know Facebook is a lie. You know, it can be. I know for a fact that, every photo I put up with her, I loved it because she was in it with me and I was tremendously happy and I was in love with her. But I also knew I was putting it up to get people to go, yay, woo, you guys look great. You look so good, because I wanted the validation from people to go, holy shit, Schmitty's doing good. Look at that fucking beautiful girl.
Keep you from the crazy on the fight end of it.
Well,
and again, to your credit, you never buried Jill to me ever.
Well, why? There was no point.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because I fucking loved her.
Yeah.
I could not. I tried to be exceedingly fair in my criticisms to the point where I was actually questioning myself and wondering if I was wrong about stuff and am I wrong to do this and wrong to do that. And I think I've come to the conclusion that, hey, look, I fucking made mistakes and I fucked up. I told you in the beginning of the show that the mistake I made, and I would tell her all the time. I go, hey, look, because she came back to me. And so that made me want to do everything for her. And I said, you came back. I said, I would not have come back. I'm being completely honest with you. If you would have done that to me, if you had cheated on me, I would have disappeared.
But as I told you, I don't think that's cheating. When you're not in a relationship because both of you are still in other relationships,
well,
how do you cheat?
I was no longer married when I did my stuff, but I had told her I loved her.
Yes.
I'm committed at that point.
I disagree, but
I feel I hear what you're saying, but I knew I wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. And I told her that I loved her.
We talked about this. What you said to me is you weren't proud that you did that because it hurt her, and I'm like, I get that.
Well, no, I did not. It was not my intention.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I didn't think of anything but myself. It was a selfish thing to do, because I loved her and I knew I wanted to be with her, but she was far away and I was feeling myself and I had lost weight and I was looking good and an opportunity came up and I did that. And it hurt her tremendously. And then when she came back, I was so happy. And I told her, I said, I love you. And I will never, ever hurt you again. I just, please stay. And things happen. Life happens. So, again, go to the YouTube channel. Listen to something much funnier than the shit I just said. Because it's all over there. There's a ton of it. Subscribe. That'd be cool. Listen to stuff too. But subscribing is key because then it gives our numbers up and everybody's happy. And please remember this. We have a Patreon page.
What?
Yeah, and it's, you know what? It's May 1st. Should I do it now or should I do it next week? Because it's been 3 hours. I figure everybody's tuned out now. Let's do it next week. Because I'd rather do it in the body of the show. I don't want to make the thank yous at the end.
Just talk briefly. Go over to Patreon.
Well,
You can just give the link. That's it.
Well, no, but I don't want. But I have to thank listeners for subscribing. It's part of their rewards.
Do that next week.
Thank you. Okay, that's what I meant.
Do that next week. Just give them the link.
So if you go to patreon.com, I think it's Mike40YOB. So you go, just put in Patreon Mike Schmidt and it's going to come up. And if you guys want to support the page and become patrons, that'd be fucking cool. I'm still trying to figure out a workaround for videos and all that sort of stuff. I posted a thing last week. And by the way, everybody out there who's a patron, I sent out a note. If you want your Facebook or Twitter reward splash page. It's ready. And I sent some to our friend Renee, and I sent it to Derek, and I sent it to Jeff, some people who are patrons, and I sent that to those people because they requested it. But you have to send me your email in order for me to send it out to you.
No, you can put it up as a download for the people of that reward.
Oh, can I really?
You can get it right from there. You don't have to email it out.
Oh, that's fucking cool. All right, cool. Yeah. All right, so I'll do that. I'll put it up tonight as a download.
But that means you have to go to the Patreon page when it says your rewards here.
Yeah, so Patreon is and look, guys, you guys have been so cool. And like Liana, I threw this out to the listeners. I threw it out to the people on Patreon. I was like, do you want me to discuss how much I'm getting a month? Because I personally, I made it private because I felt like people would see a number and go, well, he's getting enough. I don't need to help. And I talked to Gio, and he's furious. Gio's just like, no, you tell people. He goes, because then it becomes a thing where they're like, no, let's get him to this number. Let's get him to this number. And I can see that thought of it, but at the same time, you know me, and I don't think I have any value. So I'm like, well, what the fuck? So Liana's like, why don't you talk about it on the show like once a month? Why don't you discuss it? Because that way you can get around it, and that way you're talking about it, and it's full disclosure. Because the people are donating. That's why I said I respect their opinion because I want them, they should have some input. So where we are now, right now, do I need a drum roll of some sort or anything like that? Don't hit the desk because it's sinking. As of right now, the before Patreon fees, we are making $647 a month.
Fantastic!
It is phenomenal. It is so great. Thank you for stepping up. Our friend Liana just donated $50 a month. Our friend Paul Pepper from West Virginia donated $50 a month. And everybody else out there who's donated, I will get to you next week and I will mention your names and talk to you about you then. But, and David, I think, Todd Rush just stepped up and I think he donated $50 a month. So thank you to those people. Those are newcomers. And then I'll get to the rest of you next week and we'll talk and maybe we'll make that the focus of the show. But thank you so much. And if you guys have anything, if you have suggestions of stuff you want to see on Patreon, plus I need to do like chats with people. I got to do phone calls. I need phone numbers, all that kind of nonsense. So we'll organize it through the Patreon page. But thank you so much for stepping up and donating as much as you have. And please go to Patreon page now and support this show. If even half of you listening gave $5 a month, I would never have to do this show again. All right, so
I don't think that's how it works.
I think it is. I disappear into the ether. So please, like I said, because I know how many people are listening. If even half of you, I don't. I know a baseline number of how many are listening, and it could be more than that because there are, people I don't get reports from. But I know that if even half of you gave $5, holy God, it's a life changer. So please think about it. Consider donating to the show and being a patron. That'd be fantastic. If you prefer donating through PayPal, as our friend Zach does, you can still use the donate button on the Joe Business page. That's perfect. It's up in the little left-hand corner. And that's that, man. That's everything you've got to know about donating to Patreon. That's YouTube. That's Amazon link. And that's me finishing another show telling you about where my life has gone and where things have gone queer and gone off the line a little bit here, which is, but I mean, you've been asking. And so I decided I needed to tell you, and why not, right? Why not get a show where Mike fucking lays it bare every once in a while and tears himself open and just throws his heart through the fucking microphone right into your goddamn ears? That's not messy. It's not messy at all for you to have all that viscera and blood dripping out of your ears. You can feel the thump of my fucking heart bursting into your head. Correct? Is there anything else you want to plug? You going out of town? You doing anything fun?
I'm in San Diego this Saturday, and then I am in Santa Ana the following Saturday, but you can find that on my Facebook page.
Look, go be your
I'm
friend.
at the House of Blues in San Diego again.
Dude, she's tearing it up.
Saturday.
She's got her fucking top hat on, she's got her tails, and she's looking good, and she's throwing things out of her vagina at everybody, and people are catching it and being excited.
It's not quite how it works.
I'll have to come to one of these shows at some point. You don't throw it out?
I may need a ride Saturday night if you want to go to
Well,
San Diego
then,
with me.
if you're being honest, and if there's like, I'm in.
Oh, there's no money.
There's no money?
No.
Just Uber me. I'll fucking take you.
I can't. If I paid you, I would not make any money.
You're-
I'm looking for a friend to go to San Diego with.
You're fantastic, and I hope you find one. All right, so because I'm already taking Lenny to fucking Long Beach on Thursday morning, and then I'm picking him up in Long Beach Thursday and taking him back to Long Beach on Friday.
I wish I could.
This is my life. That's who I am. I'm Driver Jones. I'm just back out there, man. I drove Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I got out there, and already I've gotten fucked over on a bonus, which is fantastic. I'm back being a Lyft driver, ladies and gentlemen.
How'd you get fucked over?
Because they fucking offered this weird, they offered two different bonuses. And it was like, if you do 30 rides in this period of time, you'll get $60. And also, if you do 7 rides between this period of time, you'll get $20. So I'm like, all right, I'll just make $80 in bonuses and then make this and this and it'll be good. So I did it all until the day I got paid and I only got the $20 bonus. So I wrote the fucking, person in Zimbabwe who runs customer service, and they're like, thank you so much for being a perfect driver, Mike. We know you're the best, and we know that we love you so much as a driver. Anyway, sometimes those bonuses don't show up for 2 weeks, so we just want to make sure you know that you're probably already going to get paid. It's going to be next week. So I wrote her back, and I go, look, can you confirm that I made the bonus and that it will come next week? Because your other bonus already came this week. So I can't see why I got one bonus and not the other bonus. It doesn't make sense. So I don't want this in 2 weeks for you guys to go, oh, well, we don't have any record of that. Fuck that. I want it confirmed. And she writes me back, yes, Mike, you're a terrific driver and we love you. Unfortunately, we can't confirm anything, but in next week, it's only confirmed when the bonus shows up in your paycheck. So thank you for everything. And I know that you're a great driver and you're going to make the most money. And it's like, it's a form letter. And you're just like, dude, fuck, just look at the thing and tell me if I made it. Because I know I did it. I know I did.
There's nothing in the back end that shows you bonus reached.
Uber does that. Lyft does it. The second you make an Uber bonus, it'll say bonus achieved and it goes right into your earnings. Well, with Lyft, it doesn't fucking put it there. It's just, I'm learning all this shit. So they were offering these fucking bonuses. And you know what? Why don't we give those fucking codes? Hold on. Because, hold on. Lily, vamp, do some talking. Say something. And first of all, nobody's listening now anyway, which is fine. But a listener, and because I want to get the name here, so I don't want to fuck it up, so I have to go to my email and sign in and everything else. We had a listener who reached out to me, and I think I mentioned last week that he made the bonus. Did I talk about it? We had a listener who reached out, and he's like, hey, man, my son might want to do some Ubering. And, of course, he's like, I'm sorry to bother you because everybody thinks they're fucking bothering me when they send me emails, and I feel like a dick. Hold on, we're looking for this gentleman's name.
So his son signed up, and
then he made the rides, and he saved my ass, quite frankly. Hold on. This is our good friend Justin, and he was like, "Hey, man, my 20-something son, I believe his name was Connor. I don't remember. Wanted to use my code, and I never replied with the code. And then he wrote me. He's like, "Oh, I think we found the code," and I got alerted by Uber that they used the code. And then within I think a week or 8 days. Because again, I've been sitting around doing nothing. I've just been staring into the darkness at my house, not making any money. But I had money, so I was okay. But now that's why this weekend I had to get back to work because my money was at a weird point. But I didn't work. And then on Saturday I got notified he made the bonus and I made $400.
Awesome.
So I was like, all right, well, that just absolved me of this 1 week. And now you better get off your ass next week, idiot. And I did. If you want to be an Uber driver, use my code. DJZW1YTTUE. That's DJZW1YTTUE. Become an Uber driver. And when you make a number of drives, you get a big spiff. I get a big spiff. We're all happy. So please become an Uber driver and use that code. And then if you want to be a Lyft driver, use my code Mike, MIKE 720057. Now I should tell you this. For Lyft, it's all caps, MIKE 720057. For Uber, it's all lowercase. DJZW1YTTUE. And if you want to be like Justin and Connor, you want to make a spiff for yourself and a spiff for your internet chum Mike, ding, you should go ahead and use the Uber code. Why not? Be that person. And that's perfect. Thank you. And then maybe I'll see you on the road. Honk, honk. Oh, how terrible is that? What a terrible life I lead. Things have gone that awry. And it's so funny. I thought to myself, I go, because even when I was sitting in my house, I'm like, go driving. And people, you even said, go driving. It'll take your mind off this. No, it just lends you to think even deeper about it because now you're like contemplating the fact that you're driving for a living, doing the thing you don't want to do. And then you wonder if, maybe she left because I was this kind of a loser. Oh, she didn't leave. I was the one who left. I get it. I understand. But at the same time, when I left, I wasn't aware that fucking a guy I went to high school with would be on the table. I didn't know that was something I was going to have to parse, a situation I was going to deal with. I didn't know that was anything that was going to be in the realm of possibility. I didn't think that she would reach out to someone from my study hall and decide, hey, let's do this. Let's have him do this thing again. I'll tell you, you want to hook people in, get them halfway through a recipe and cut your fucking show in half. That's it. Let's do an hour about stew and then bail, get on a plane, and then come back and revisit it 2 days later, because that's the most important stew in the universe. Were there noodles or rice involved? Stay tuned!
We here, we are playing on a level that most will never see.